What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of After Ahsoka. We are all here to review episode number 6. It's going by quick. I have a different looking panel tonight. Got some different guests in the house. Guys, how's it going tonight?
Some would say more handsome. I mean, not that you did, Brick, everybody else, but I'd say this is a pretty handsome panel, in my opinion.
The newcomer dropping a bomb.
The handsome quotient has just risen.
Yep,
is that what's going on?
baller.
Look who I'm surrounded by.
Yes,
Look at
yes.
this.
Okay, just so you know, for the record, when you say something that's on the money like that, you're supposed to say Kobe before you take your shot.
Kobe.
So next time, maybe lead with that there.
I got you.
So, Mike, thank you for being back as always, man. Appreciate it. I know you've been on every episode. Mike, I know you also gave me the idea to do this show, so but I've really enjoyed having you on, man.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Yep,
I'm so happy
yep.
to be here. Happy to have these guys on with us too.
Yeah, and then D'Lo, fellow. I can call you a fellow Wolfpack
You
member
can.
now. Wow,
You can. Wow.
wow,
Look at this.
dude. Thanks so much for being on the show. I'm excited to hear your take because I know you always are making fun of me because I like Star Wars so much, but
No, we don't.
I'm excited to hear your take and kind of I know we've chatted a little bit about just here and there about a couple episodes but I'm excited to hear kind of your more in-depth thoughts on this episode and some of the aspects of the show. So
Yeah. Thank you for the
Welcome.
invite. Really
Yes.
appreciate it as a Wolfpack member to another.
yes.
So I guess that means I just need to go on Brick's channel, and I've completed my trifecta there.
the full circle.
All right.
Oh, I'm allowed to do that now.
You are. And he's really enjoying that too. You can tell the excitement.
Yeah.
in his face.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
smiling pretty hard when he's like,
good.
all right.
Snapchats all the time. He's like,
No,
can all
definitely.
do it.
That
I
is
mean, listen,
definitely
I'm-
not. That is
As a
definitely
senior
not.
council member, you guys are all allowed to do it tonight. Look, go ahead, Mike.
That is
All right. There you go.
Um,
Too sweet, boys. Too sweet.
so sweet.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm not on the council, but I am a member. I have a little badge and everything.
well, you have a seat.
I have a seat. Yeah, I get to do
Yeah.
that. All right, come on, man. I
I
pay a
was about
monthly
to pull
fee
the
to
Mace
do
Windu
that.
on you right now and throw a rank on you. That's okay. It's okay.
With that being said, guys, we have one new guest tonight who you've all seen in the chat. He's looking for himself currently.
Oh, me?
My good friend Cage is in the house tonight. Came on because I wanted one more person on the show for tonight. He's a huge fan. Me and him have been friends for a really long time. It's his first YouTube live stream. So everybody welcome Cage in the chat. And bro, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
No, thank you. It's as a fan, both of all three of my fellow peers here. No, it really is. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I've been so excited as soon as you asked me.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I know you don't know too much about Hot Toys, but well, you kind of do probably. You're probably learning stuff because you watch all the shows. I'm sure
I watch
you've learned-
everybody's shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm sure you've
Mhm.
learned a fair amount of stuff as far as that goes that you didn't know before. But
Well, that's why I was saying this backstage with D'Lo, just real quick. I lurk. I watch everybody's stuff now. I might not say anything in the chat, but I'm there.
I'm in my
watching.
chats.
Yeah.
Watch what you say. Cage is there.
Watch what you say. Cage is watching everybody.
I'm watching.
Cage is watching. With that being said, there were a lot of reveals today. I just want to get quick hitter thoughts from you guys on reveals before we get into talking about the show, and then I'll address the chat. But obviously there was a lot of stuff. Chat, you can let us know too what your thoughts are on some of the big reveals from I think it was because Hot Toys Secret Base. I think it's I think I saw it's their 10th anniversary or something. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. So they're obviously showing all these figures and a lot of stuff. D'Lo, let's start with you because I know you're hype about some things here. So just give maybe your quick hitter thoughts and what you're excited about with the reveals that were shown today.
Yeah, I think all the reveals were really, really good. Every single one. I can't think of one that I wasn't shocked, but also excited to see that it's coming out there. I guess maybe the highlight for me is probably the Tobey Maguire, the Spider-Man 3 black suits that sometimes you completely forget that one like that already exists, and it's about time to get another one. And it kind of makes sense now that we have the No Way Home version coming out. Now's the time to kind of capitalize on that for them. So the figure looks incredible. I'm very quickly going to become a Spider-Man fan. And they keep dropping releases like the No Way Home line that's coming out now and announcing new stuff like this. It's going to be an interesting year, no doubt about it, and seeing what those there. But the personal one, the one that feels the best for me, has got to be Scarlet Witch. The fact that we're going to get the Endgame Civil War / version of her.
Yeah.
Always loved that one. It was always out of my price range, and now I have not only a chance to get one, but also potentially an artisan one as well too. Which, I mean, it might be overkill, but it might be exactly what I should be doing too. So I know there's so many. All those ones, all the ones that came out, were very awesome to see. But those are probably the two highlights for me right now.
So you're for sure going to try for artisan?
I think I am. I've been a good boy. You know, I stayed away from Anakin and Wonder Woman and all stuff. And I feel like, you know, I want to join the party. I want to get hyped because I haven't been hyped for them. You know, I've had my reservations, but, you know, for a figure like Scarlet Witch, who is not as, you know, obviously as big of a name as the other ones that I just mentioned, but it's like a sentimental favorite for me. I was like, you know what? If it's available, I'm going to take a swing at that one. If not, I'm cool with the sculpted one. But yeah, I think I'm going to swing for fences on her.
Yeah, nice. Should be interesting. Thanks for your thoughts on that one. Mike, what about you, man? Are you excited about any of these announcements?
I'm excited for them in the sense that they all look great. So anytime Hot Toys is putting out figures that are exciting, gets the community talking and engaged, that's awesome, even if it's not a figure that I'm necessarily going to bring home. So it's always good to see good stuff. And I think the Toby is definitely a highlight, especially Hot Toys is so weird sometimes. Like, it's like, hey, let's throw in Venom heads, you know, in the deluxe. Like, they weren't in the movie, but whatever, they look cool. So I like that. I mean, I would definitely go for that one if I was a Spidey collector for sure. Oddly enough, the figure that I don't think is like the standout figure as far as craftsmanship, but would be the one I would most likely pick up of everything they showed today, would be the Iron Man. You know, I'm a big comic book fan. Iron Man was the first comic book I bought when I was 7 at 7-Eleven, and I still have that book, right? I have a lot of sentimental connection to Iron Man, and cool. I love the classic look there. So still don't know if I'm going to bring him home, but I think it's a great looking figure. But yeah, just to see another artisan is really cool because it shows their commitment to announce these figures in a relatively quick succession. I wasn't expecting one this quickly. I'm not 100% sold necessarily on whether I think it's like a Joker situation for me again.
Yeah.
Just from photos alone, I thought the sculpted Joker hair looked better than the rooted, and I may feel that way about this figure. We're not going to know until we see these things in hand, but I think they all look great.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Cage, I know you don't know too much about it, but I did send you some pictures of stuff. Do you have any thoughts as far as what you want to talk about? Just quick hitting thoughts on this. You don't really have to spend a bunch of time, but as like somebody who doesn't really like, you know, not really into Hot Toys, but like, you know, a little bit about, I'm actually kind of curious to see like what your take is on it. Because we all like collect and have, you know, a bunch of figures, but like I'm actually kind of interested to hear just like what you think about what you saw today.
Sure. So after you didn't even have to send me stuff anymore because I didn't tell you this, but I already started following them on Facebook. So I started seeing this stuff. The Toby Spider-Man, I had to take a double take, right? Like, dude, I had to really look at it. Good. Yeah, I absolutely blown away. Wanda looks so dope. And I know Steve, Lady Evil Sneaker, I think she had.
Yeah, my wife wants it. She said she actually said I want it. She doesn't really say that for a lot of stuff. But she wants,
which I think tells you something.
Figure.
Though. Yeah, right. So
she loves
no, it seems like you know, when I scroll through eBay occasionally looking for my next Palpatine pickup, and I'll see like that old Sideshow Palpatine on there. And then I look at that and like Clone Wars that's coming out, or like this Toby, the Wanda, it just looks so much better. So I'm excited for all y'all. As this stuff just keeps looking better and better and better, I think it's gonna bring more people to the community. It's gonna bring more people into collecting Hot Toys, and I think it's gonna be a win-win for everybody. So yeah, they look dope.
Do you want to share with everybody what your first Hot Toys figure is going to be?
Nope.
Can anybody guess? Anybody take a guess? You don't want to share? You don't want to say it? You don't want to tell anybody?
It's Clone Wars Palpatine.
That's what I thought.
Okay, nice.
But it will be my only one. Okay,
Yeah.
it's going to be my only one. It's going to be my
Sure
own.
it
I'm going to say it
is.
one more time. My only one.
Listen to the new guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen to the new guy. Listen to the new
My
guy.
one. Just one.
Yeah, I'll give my yeah, all right. I'll give my quick thoughts. Yeah, I think like all the like they were really cool announcements. Yeah, the Toby sculpt is so cool. I agree with kind of everything you said. I think I'm excited. Everybody else is excited about it. Artisan, we kind of knew that they were going to come out with. Well, we were all hoping, and it looked like they were trending in the direction, obviously, of coming out with a Marvel figure. This is also the first DX figure, right, in the Marvel line, so that's exciting. Wanda, I'm probably going to pick up. I'm probably going to try to pick up Wanda. Probably try to pick up Artisan Wanda. That's a figure that I could see putting into my, signature area in the collection that's not Star Wars. I really like the look of that one. I probably won't pick up any of the others, but yeah, I agree. They all look good. I like the Across the Spider-Verse stuff. They're really unique. They're really colorful figures. I feel like they're gonna look really cool in a collection. I know Brick's gonna end up likely getting those, and like I just think those ones are gonna look really cool. So very exciting day for collectors today. Let's address the chat here. For some reason, Spotchka's comment isn't showing up, but I know he said first, so I want to give him his props. Good old Spotchka in the chat. So thank you, bro. He's excited to see Cage on the show. Who else we got here? Austin is in the house. What is up, bro? So Austin and Spotchka and Collector Joey are all in Texas together. I couldn't make it, but they're all down there in Texas, and then they're going to San Antonio. I think there's like a collector meet and greet. I think it's tomorrow. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's tomorrow. So they're vlogging some stuff and making a bunch of videos. Austin has one part up on his YouTube channel. It's actually pretty cool to watch and like see them all, in person, the Copper Drop Squad. So Joey's in the house. We are listening in the car. All right. They're listening in the car on their way. Thank you guys for being here. Daniel Brancato's in the house. Hello, everyone. What is up, dude? Thank you so much for being here. We got some Cage fans in the house, man.
Cage.
We got some Cage fans in the house. Lady Evil Sneakers, a rare occurrence for her to comment on a live stream, so she must be hyped too. Go Cage. Let's see. TK Magic Shop is in the house. Toby looks amazing. What is up, dude? Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Yeah, Toby. I was surprised when I was like, I didn't see the announcement at first, and like I saw a picture of like I didn't see that it was announced, but I saw a picture and then the side by side, and it was like it just looked crazy without knowing that it was already announced, but looks so good. Brick is here. Beautiful people. Hello, you're beautiful, Bricky. Thank you for being here, bro. I think that might be it. Let me scroll down because there's a lot of people talking to each other. Austin says, Steve, thank you for the sweet shout out. And Spotchka, the vlog of the trip is coming soon. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what they put together in person, like seeing each other's collections and stuff. I think that's like really cool, and you can get people in the community to, hang out together and see what they come up with. So looking forward to that, guys. Yeah. With that being said, let me transition us over here to what everybody came for. Episode 6 of Ahsoka, another banger of an episode. The last 3 have just been really, really good. Cage, let's start with you because you're like the newcomer, man. You're dropping this heat right away. You're dropping this heat on the stream. So we got to start with you because I want to hear your first impressions. So maybe just first, because you haven't been on the show, and then I'll have D-Law, I'll have you go too and kind of explain this as well. Like what you're talk about a little bit about what you've seen as far as Star Wars goes, how much content you've consumed, and then just give your overall impressions on the episode and rate it out of 10.
Sure. So seen all the movies, obviously. I watched more of like an annotated version of Clone Wars, hitting all the high points, right? I've seen, a few of the filler episodes as well. Really enjoyed that. I've watched all of Rebels, Tales of the Jedi. Really, the only things I haven't really seen would be like, Resistance? And then, I mean that kids show is canon, right? Jedi Temple
Challenge.
Yeah, like
I guess it is because they brought Keller and Beck in.
Right. But like I haven't seen that shit. But
yeah, that's not really
yeah, I'm sure it's great, but like not for me.
It's a kid show.
Yeah. So really familiar. At least I like to think I am. I guess maybe being on the show will test a little bit of my knowledge, but there's been very little I haven't seen. But yeah, big fan.
In 20 years, that's the show they're going to be basing movies on, and they're going to be like, "This is what I grew up on," and all the old timers crapped on it or whatever.
Back in my day.
Back in my day. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Cage, you want to give your overall thoughts on episode 6 here, and then rate it. See what you got.
We'll go. Last week's episode was my 10 out of 10. Okay. This week, I really did enjoy it. It's definitely going to be probably like a 9 for me. Just a few little things. Like, I think honestly at this point I'm being nitpicky, but it might be because I feel like we were a bit spoiled last week with the amount of good shit that we got. So, I'd go a solid 9 out of 10 for this episode for sure.
Nice. D-Lo, the collector.
Yeah. So, lifelong Star Wars fan. I keep it mostly to mainstream Star Wars, mostly film. I've gotten into the shows over the last few years, so I've just kind of been going through Clone Wars, finishing that up. Still on Rebels. I just finished the finale of season 2, so it really started to pick up there. So it's been really fun to watch that there and kind of see some familiar characters reappear and all that stuff, and just kind of see their stories extended there. So I'm almost done with that. But yeah, on top of that, I think I've played every Star Wars video game ever made, honestly.
Hell
so
yeah.
I saw that I feel like that's an extra like 10 points in expertise at that stage there.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I've seen a couple of these streams so far of you guys recap this. Mike, you're very intimidating. You definitely know your ish very much there. So like, I'm not gonna even try to pretend to be the expert in this panel tonight. But I'm pleasantly happy with this show. It's been quite a ride, and honestly, it's the type of show that I think a lot of like fans like myself who don't keep up with almost everything that Star Wars produces outside of the films. This is a great show that gets you invested into like really trying to go back, like I've been doing it, watching different seasons and different shows, just kind of get more, because it just feels like the show has so much like inner kind of like connectivity to what's been done before that it's just like it makes you want to learn more about like the characters like the Sabines and the Heras and etc. there. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And this last episode, very good as well too. I kind of agree with Cage. Like last week's episode it's probably going to be very hard to top in that regard, just because it's such a high, and it's almost darn near impossible to like kind of match that as well. But as far as like the show itself, like this episode was less as intense as the last episode, but there was so much anticipation. There's so many parts of it there that kept me going through the entire episode. Even if I didn't know all the ins and outs of everything that I've seen people chatting about, knowing enough of this, what's been coming forward now that we have this officially have our new threat in like focus now, it's a solid 8.5 for me, easily there. And this is just because I don't follow everything. I don't know everything. I'm sure if I already seen everything, it would probably be a little bit higher for me, but I still think it was an amazing episode. I definitely still feel like it keeps the momentum strong for the show leading to the last 2 episodes. So solid 8.5 is what I would rate it for this one.
Yeah, nice. Mike?
Yeah, well, first of all, D-Lo, how long have you been collecting Hot Toys?
Year 8 now. I just hit year 8.
Yeah, I have no right to talk about Hot Toys with you. So
no, you're good, dude. Don't worry about it,
bro. But yeah, so as far as my rating for the show, man, I'd like to give it a 10, but we'll get into why I'm not going to give it a 10, and I'm going to call it, I'm teetering between an 8.5 and 9, which would be an 8.75. So we'll go with that. 8.75.
Yeah, 8.75.
Yeah,
Fair enough. I think the good thing is like, I feel like my interpretation of this episode on a rating scale is now like the standard is the last episode. So it's like last episode's
tough,
a 10.
right?
It sounds like we're all saying like last episode, everybody's like, this is 10 out of 10. This is everything you ever wanted. And now like with that being the standard, it's like, oh, well, like this is like This isn't a 10 for me when you set that as the standard. You know
kind
what
of
I mean?
have a theory about that, though. I think you
Yeah.
can give the last episode a 10 because it works so well in isolation. It doesn't matter what came before
That's a really
or
good point.
after
Yep.
it.
Yep.
You know, like
Yep.
this episode might become a 6 or a 10 or an 11, depending on how the next two are. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's a really, really good point. Like that last episode could stand on its own as being like just a masterpiece of an episode. But yeah, I would say I will give this episode a 9 overall. But I mean, then that's, like I said, kind of judging it based off of last week's episode too. But yeah,
I
it
think
was. Sorry, go ahead, Cage.
Well, I was going to say is I think that might be why we got to see some of the people that we got to see in this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe Filoni, whoever might have been aware of, like, expectations are going to be high after this episode, so maybe we'll, sprinkle a little Thrawn in.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think if we would have seen this episode before the last one, we would have probably been like, oh my God, this episode was so crazy. And like,
Yeah.
It's true.
But the last episodes, I don't see the last episode being topped. I just don't see that for episode 5 being topped. But I really enjoyed it. I honestly, there was more in this episode that we got than I thought we would when it came to a Thrawn reveal. I didn't really think we were going to see like Thrawn. I figured obviously we were going to see Ezra. I didn't think we'd see them revealed at the same time, or I guess in one episode together.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Cage, that's a good point because this show has just been doing this, right?
Yeah.
Like for me anyway,
Yeah.
There hasn't been a lull. It's just been climbing.
Yep.
Yep.
Get like every week. I've been saying this. I feel like on a weekly basis too. Is like I'm always excited to see what comes next for this show.
Yeah.
There's never been like, there wasn't a time where it's been like, oh, this was just a filler episode, and like we'll see what next week brings. We don't really know like what's happening with the plot advancement. This has just been kind of constant. Really, really, really good. Couple comments in the chat here. Brick says I give it an 8. TK Magic Shop, I'm going to 8.25. Spot just says 7.7.
7 points.
What's going on with these point ratings? And then Austin says I feel good with a 9 out of 10. Yeah, really happy with this episode. But so opening scene, let's get into it, guys. So we'll break down the episode. Opening scene, we get this like real cool like hyperspace Purgle scene where they're like traversing the hyperspace lanes, and like Cage and I were talking a little bit about this deal before you kind of hopped in backstage, but like the hyperspace they make it look different when the Purgle are going through it. So I just thought like overall this looked really cool. I thought it was a really cool way to start the episode. Again, like the cinematics for the show I've been really happy with. Any of you guys can just jump in as far as if you have any thoughts about the starting thing. I really liked what they did with Ahsoka and Hu Yang here, and like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
Like it was a great start to the episode is what I think. So you guys can go ahead and give your thoughts if you have any here on the beginning.
Yeah, I love that imagery, how it looked different. But at first I thought, okay, this is what it looks like when Purgle are traveling. But actually the starship that they took also had that look around it as well. So maybe that's what intergalactic travel looks like. As
Maybe because they're
to-
going like a different,
Well, there are no stars, right? So
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe
Yeah.
this is what it looks like when they're going outside of the galaxy.
Right.
That's a really good point. I didn't really even think about that.
and then having a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away in universe,
Yeah.
it was cool,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll-
Judy, you guys got thoughts? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is kind of a funny, but the first thought I had seeing them in there, and I thought the same thing last episode, was like, you know how your car has that like recycle the air inside the vehicle button?
Yeah.
I just
yeah.
kept thinking that. I was like, I hope this space should have it, because I bet you that Purgo got some stanky breath. Like, it cannot smell good in there. So like,
You're
I
right.
hope they have something to where that is going on. But
keep the windows up, yeah,
For real.
absolutely, and recirculate that air.
yeah. No, but it's very, very cool to see. I love it when seeing these two interact, because like there's so much more I want them to talk about. But seeing this and kind of alluding to, because I know there's always been a lot of talk over the years, at least from what I've seen regarding Star Wars is actually written from R2D2's point of view, from kind of start to finish. And now I'm seeing people kind of talk more about like, well, maybe it's Hu Yang that is actually doing it. I like that kind of stuff. I hope it's something that if they haven't answered, they don't answer, and it can just be something that people can kind of guess at and speculate. So really cool little drop in there. I liked the scene.
Yeah, like from a certain point of view, and there's like a couple novels that are like from a certain point of view, which I think like it's like we talked about on past episode too of like the mysterious element. It's like how like it's leaving this mysterious element, which I think Star Wars needs to have.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Doesn't it make you think like,
going?
if their stories begin with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, that it just because a few times in this series so far we've heard them say, like, we've heard the tales of Peridia. So like, maybe some of the and there's this whole thing of Celestials. There's a whole bunch of stuff in Legends about travelers potentially from other galaxies. Like we've never seen it happen in story, but yeah, maybe everything, the history of the Jedi even maybe is from another galaxy. I don't know. So I just like that it opens all that up.
Yep. Hilo, what about you, man? You got any thoughts about the opening here?
Yeah, well, this is a real brief one there. Just I agree with everybody said here. The cinematography has just really been like the MVP for this show because it just feels like this should have been on a big screen somewhere. And obviously I know that's the plan down the road, but this really feels like big Star Wars again. Especially after coming from Mando. I love Mando and all that stuff there, but it's just like this feels like grand Star Wars, and that's what I'm here for. Like I'm always up for the big theatrical, huge, intergalactic battle that you're supposed to have with the main, enemy and stuff like that. But here, I'm really learning so much about Dave Filoni and his style and his approach to it here. As far as this is correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like the first one where he's actually had full producing rights, full director like responsibility with this here. I mean, outside of a couple of guest directors, this is pretty much his baby from top to bottom. Correct?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
This doesn't have Favreau or anybody else in it. This is just his. So this is me. I've been curious about this guy since I learned about him. During first when Mandalorian came out, and just how his background came from Clone Wars and how he's learning from Favreau and how he's kind of learning the ropes from Lucas for years and years and years. And this show has been really impressive to me, especially just something as little as this. It's the tonality of it there because we already talked about like how much like the shift from this episode from last week's episode. It's kind of hard to top. But you can definitely feel like there's effort in here too, because the way it's something as small as this scene right here. This shows you how much of a masterclass he's kind of putting on as far as how he wants to direct his storytelling to the next chapter into this saga, the story that we're doing now. I beg your pardon. So it feels like, despite the fact that it's going to be more of an emotional story as opposed to an action veered story like the last one was. It keeps your anticipation of what's next in check. And I just love that such a simple scene like this can just really set the tone for what the episode's going to be. So, yeah, that's the only thing I would add onto it.
Yeah. That's a great point about Filoni, man. Because if you love Filoni as much as like so many other people do, and everyone's clamoring for him to run Lucasfilm someday, well, if he does that, guess what? He's not directing, writing, or, he's not creating this stuff. So it's like, you'll lose that element if he ends up running Lucasfilm.
Got to keep him
so.
creating this.
Careful what you wish for.
That's where I would agree with you. Like at that point, I'd be like, no, maybe put John in charge or something like that, and let him stay on the more of the creative side of it. There,
you have to keep him in creative
because I don't know this guy as long as you guys have from seeing Clone Wars from the get go and all those others, but. Let me tell you, he's making a great impression very fast over the last few years, and I'm just like, where have you been missing? How did you get over? Like, how did they pick Abrams over you? How did they pick Johnson over you? This guy's been here this whole time, and no one's mentioned his name. So, it makes me feel good the direction where Star Wars is going because, here's a guy who completely was trained by his master and George Lucas, completely from top to bottom, learning the entire craft of LucasArts and just really taking what was already established there and just honoring it to the point of where you couldn't tell if it was Lucas doing this or not. But this is like a true like successor to Lucas's work. So this guy has totally been like unbelievable since I've seen his work recently because I'm just like, wow, I can't believe we just now starting to sing this guy's praises because from when I first heard of Clone Wars, I wasn't sure about it too much. I know it didn't do as well as they liked it to. If I'm not mistaken, it got canceled at one point, correct?
Yeah, they did a
Well,
Clone Wars save campaign to bring back season 7.
Right, right.
but
And then,
that was really corporate reasons why.
Yeah, there
It
was
was
a yeah. I
because
was gonna say it
Disney
wasn't
needed
just
to
like
move it.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think it was just like outright the show was necessarily doing bad and they canceled it. Like there were some other things as far as that goes. But then season 7
Gotcha.
came back and that was
Yeah.
really really good. But
but all the
yeah.
same, man, the fact that he's on board and in the capacity that he is, I mean, that definitely gets me more excited for future Star Wars projects for sure. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
this scene right here, just amazing how small it is, but how much it can just have
Yep.
an impact there because it
Yep.
really sets the tone for this episode.
And I feel like they've been doing that consistently with this show. We're not wasting time with the intros. Like every time an episode starts, I feel like, at least for me personally, like I am in the episode right away.
For sure.
Every single time they've set the tone really well. Like last
Edge of
episode,
my
there was
seat.
a flyover. What'd you say, D'Lo?
Like edge of my seat, just anticipating
you're
the
like,
next scene.
yes,
yeah.
you are like, yeah, exactly. On the edge of your seat in anticipation basically the whole time. Like, what are you going to see next? Which is obviously really, really cool. I just want to give a shout out to Boba Fettuccine in the chat. What's up, 16 fam? Great dude in the community. Thank you so
Hey
much for
now.
being here, man.
Hey now.
Hey now, that must be an inside thing with you and Boba.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah. So great opening. D'Lo, appreciate your thoughts there. That was yeah, that's good. I think too, going into the show, that's why like with Filoni, it was like, for me, I was like, this is Filoni's baby. This is going to be something that is, I don't see this going south because Filoni knows what he's doing and being familiar with so much of what he's done, and this being a direct continuation of Rebels, which was such a good show, that this was probably going to be hopefully a great show at the very least. Reese is in the house. Sup, nerds? A fellow Wisconsinite. What is up, dude? The mall man himself. Mall man himself.
Bro, who knows? Like, I don't know what their relationship. I know the relationship is still close, but I don't know if their relationship is like bouncing ideas off one another. But I do like fantasize that, you know, on a Saturday afternoon, he's like, "Hey, George, what do you think of this idea I have?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was
More
a
than
really
like
good,
anyone else out
That
there.
was a really good Filoni. Do you have a Lucas? Can I hear your Lucas? Do you have a Lucas?
Faster, more intense. I can't really do it, but you know.
That's not bad. It's pretty good.
That was good.
That was pretty good.
really good.
That was.
I like
was
that.
good.
I figured if you had a Filoni, you had a Lucas.
Faster, more intense. So then this next part, so then we get the intro, obviously, and then we get Sabine in here. There's not too much from here. She's saying, "Oh, we had a deal." She's yelling at Balin. Balin's just like, yeah, the mystery, man, just like continues to be one of the most intriguing characters to me on this show. Just like, what direction are they taking him? Him and Shin as well, but Balin for me is like, man, this is really intriguing as far as what direction they're going with him. I hope they don't just end up killing him off. But so we get this. You can see this really giant, ring here, which I thought looked pretty cool. You guys have any thoughts on? You guys have anything you want to speak to about this part here? There isn't too much. The only go ahead. If somebody's gonna
No,
say
I say
something.
no. There is, because this is like we start getting a lot of Night Sister lore here.
Yeah.
don't we?
Yeah, a lot of
like we
lore.
start getting about how Purgo come here to die.
Oh,
And it was
yes,
so
yes,
dope
yes.
seeing all of the
Yep.
like ribs and like skull like as
that's
the
what I was
ring
trying to-
around the planet.
what I was trying to
And then you have
find.
Morgan here just dropping Night Sister
There it is.
knowledge
There
out
it
of
is.
nowhere.
Yep.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was so rich, right? Like
Yeah.
I had to rewatch that several times because, and like with subtitles, because I really wanted to see what exactly they were saying. Her and Balin. It was fascinating because this is a little confusing, right? She's like the Night Sister, my ancestors of Dathomir, but really your ancestors are from Peridia. So it's like trying to make all that make sense for you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. This bone thing is wild.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
Purgle. You see like all these bones that make up the ring of the planet.
Ribs.
That's freaking metal as hell.
Great idea.
That's
Yeah, I love
crazy
that.
that they have that like actually around the planet. It's interesting too. Is it like, so I guess my interpretation was the Purgle, when they get near the end of life, this is where they go to, and then they die here because, it I guess speaks to the importance of this planet in particular and kind of the mystery and like the power that I guess the planet holds if this type of creature is going there. I don't know if that's true as far as that goes, or like that's kind of what my thought was, though, is that like maybe when they're about to die, they go here and then their bones are, part of that area. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Well, it just made me think like, well, then how did you ride them back to the other galaxy. I mean, there's a million ways you can say it. Whatever. Maybe they came to die and they like hijacked them before they died and somehow used
Oh, I
magic.
see what you're saying. You're
You know,
saying like,
if it's a one-way trip.
oh,
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
You know?
Yeah, I don't like. I guess I didn't really think about that. Is it a one-way trip to like? Do they just go there to die? I feel like that's going to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it looks like they're going to be taking the Purgle to get back, unless.
Hey, listen,
I don't know.
Filoni likes to sneak people on ships. It
Yep.
happened like every episode of Rebels, right?
Or we know too that like this is another thing is Chopper put that tracking beacon on the ship, or I mean on the I think
Hyperdrive.
on the
ring.
hyperdrive, on the ring,
Yep.
the Halo ring. So that's another interesting thing. If like the Purgle all just go here and then they all just get like destroyed, which I mean Thrawn hinted at, is Hera gonna come and potentially help them? I guess we'll see what happens there. But yeah, some cool stuff. Then the Night Sister stuff. I did not expect to get the level of Night Sister stuff. We're gonna get into that in a second.
Which is why, like, again, as you're kind of transitioning scenes here, like, imagine if we got this before last week's episode.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just like one of y'all said. Like, we would all be like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, it still
crazy.
is a wonderful episode, but
Yeah.
we got a lot of lore here.
Yeah. I like the outfits of these dudes, these guys that came in and ended up taking Sabine. Also, another thing that we've kind of spoke to in the past about the show is like the atmospheric stuff, where they're not just like having the ship shown in outer space and then them landing on the planet. Like they are taking every ship down through the atmosphere and going through the clouds. I think that adds a lot of just cinematic quality to the show in my mind.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not like, and then you see this, like they're actually flying in, you see the world before they enter it. They're not just landing down on there. I think like Mando kind of did that too when they flew down to Mandalore, and they're like going through then the rain hits them and stuff like that.
How about those like statues there with the screaming
Yeah.
Night Sisters or whatever they may be?
Yeah.
So cool. And this ship too is like so not Star Wars, but still fits in Star Wars. It's a really different design from anything we've seen.
Yeah, I was trying to find. I don't know. This right here. This part right
shuttle,
here.
yeah.
That it like drops out and then the wings pop out. I thought
Very
that
cool.
looked
Sick.
really cool. Yeah.
Somebody
like,
compared
that
it
is
to
a
something
really
from
cool
the
ship.
the Dune, the Dune from the 80s, and they did a side by side. It's very. This whole episode had a lot of kind of Dune-like elements, which makes sense because Lucas was very influenced by Dune as
Absolutely.
well. So,
Yep.
Yeah, that is just. I thought that. Yeah, look at that. That thing looks so cool. When
Looks
they
like a-
landed,
It looks like not to start. It kind of looks like a state of the art like paper airplane I used to make as a kid.
yeah, it does. Balsa
when
wood.
they landed, it looked like it was almost like too small to fit them all where they were standing in the screen. Like when they were
did.
standing in the cockpit, I guess it looked big, and then here this looks really tiny to me
like,
for
is
them
that
all
the
to be
s-
standing and like have the. That was one thing I noticed. I was like, this ship looks small with them all standing in the cockpit area with how opened it looked, and then this like tiny ship. But
I agree. Like, is her cell in there too?
I
You know, like, what? It's like a
I don't
clown
think
car.
so. I don't
Yeah,
think
they moved her.
Yeah, they like moved her and then they just had her like. I don't think so, but yeah. And then so I thought that was weird. I was like, this like doesn't look like perfect dimension wise. The ship just looks kind of tiny.
How do you think they figure out who sits on whose lap?
I was thinking the same thing too.
Yeah, seriously.
They were totally sitting on laps.
Balin he's like, I have to sit on your lap, shit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm your master.
He looks like he takes 2 seats himself, anyways.
Yeah, thick boy.
And then we see this. I did not expect this.
No.
I was not. This was not like I knew. I figured with what we know about Night Sisters, with how like like how rare it is for Night Sisters to be alive, basically. Like I think we talked about this in the past too, about like the Jedi there are more Jedi than there are Night Sisters post Order 66. Like to have a Night Sister is just alive is really rare, and then we get 3 of them. I thought we were maybe just going to get more of like Morgan Elsbeth was going to be using her, Night Sister magic to help Thrawn. I didn't really expect this. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on this as far as like the Great Mother's reveal.
Just so dark. Like, this episode has one of the most foreboding, like live action feelings that when I was a kid and I would watch Empire, when he's on Dagobah and stuff like that, like there's this, I don't know, it just brought me back to those feelings of that kind of quality of Star Wars that we haven't felt in a while.
Yeah, when they started talking, I was like,
Yes.
whoa, this is like,
Yeah.
when their voice is like
Shakespeare,
really
yeah.
deep and it's like echoey, it's like, dang, this is like kind of, one, it was kind of creepy, but I was like, this is just a side of Star Wars I feel we haven't really seen in films or in shows. Like there's a little bit of this stuff, like if you play, I feel like some of it reminded me of Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah. Because
That's
they're on
kinda
Dathomir.
Yep, Dathomir. Like you see some just weird shit on that planet, but
But this was like Macbeth, dude. Like you have like evil witches and stuff.
D'Lo, you got any thoughts about the Night Sisters?
Honestly, this is newer stuff for me here. My experience is kind of from Jedi Fallen Order as well. It's like, weren't they? I'm like, you guys are talking like, wait, they were in the Fallen Order game. So I'm just like, there's more than that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just absorbing what you guys are saying right now.
Yeah. So basically, like, I mean, they do obviously like this dark magic, and I think the biggest thing for this is like this plant, like what they talked about. Again, they do a really good job of, if you know what the Night Sisters are, it adds more into it for you. But they also did a lot of service to people who don't know, because I would think you probably have a good understanding. Like if I didn't know like what they were, I feel like the show set you up for success as far as knowing. Like this planet is like an ancient planet. This is one that was like basically like, I think Morgan Elsbeth said a line when she's like, she said like they were here before the time was counted. Like it's just so
Right, she didn't make that.
like before time. So I think like they kind of set you up with like, this is like really ancient and like obviously like really old. So I think like the show did a good job. I don't know if you guys have, Cage or Mike, if you have anything else you want to add as far as the Night Sisters go for D'Lo's sake.
No, just like part of the lore real quick of Dathomir is that the Night Sisters magic has a lot to do with the planet. There's like one of the reasons why, if you look at that, you're like, well, why isn't the whole galaxy overrun by this Night Sister magic stuff? Why is it all Jedi and Sith? It's because they're essentially like trapped magic-wise on Dathomir. So, and that's also like why they've been kind of like left alone for the most part, because they're not really a threat outside of that planet. So that might be true of this planet as well. I don't know. Guess we'll find out.
Yeah, and then sorry, go ahead, Cage.
It was the core of Dathomir, wasn't it? Like the core is made of that same energy.
It might
like
be,
that?
yeah. I don't remember that detail, but I think that might be the case.
Yeah, and then like Palpatine obviously sees that as a threat, right? He sees Dathomir as a threat, in in the anime.
And what does he do?
Yeah, and what does he do? He basically like gets rid of the Night Sisters, like Mother Talzin. This is really interesting because when I heard, I think Cage, I messaged you and I was like, when they said Great Mothers, I was like, I thought they said Great Mother, and I was like, there's like, is this Mother Talzin? Like, because we know what happens to her in Clone Wars, she gets destroyed. But I'm like, is this Mother Talzin? Like, and like, did they like recreate? Like, was she reborn or like recreated? Yeah. So, but then I think like I went back and watched it, and it said Thrawn's referring to all three of them as the Great Mothers. So I was like, okay. Yeah. But it's still like, where did they? I would like to know like where they, like how they, like were they here already? Like when Thrawn and Ezra came here, were they on Peridia potentially still, because this is kind of where they're from? I guess we don't know that. Maybe we'll find some of that out. But
it's also. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No.
No, it's also worth to point out. I'm sure everybody knows this, but Darth Maul is a Night brother.
Right.
So
I don't know.
Yeah. So it's cool. This is a race of people that a lot of people are familiar with, even if they haven't necessarily seen much of them before.
Yeah. And I remember with Savage Opress, which is just one of the dopest Star Wars characters, I feel like. When him and Maul, that whole arc with him and Maul in Clone Wars with Savage, and then like Savage Opress and Darth Maul fighting Emperor Palpatine, and just like, oh man, some of the best Star Wars, honestly. I feel like some of that animated stuff is so cool. But
and Ventress,
Yep. I just want to get to a couple people in the chat here. Titer FL is in the house. This episode was great. World building. Yes, for sure. Titer, thank you for tuning in, man. Chris is here, Miami's Nemesis. What is up, dude? Thanks for being here. Spatio says Hocus Pocus sisters.
I had a similar thought seeing the three of them.
Yeah. It was also like really interesting when they start talking about how they can sense that a Jedi is coming, and they can sense like whether somebody's a Jedi and stuff like that. I thought that was really really interesting how and they just look.
I had
so
hoped in
creepy.
that moment that when they turned to Sabine, that one of the sisters would have looked at Balin and been like, "No,
Yeah,
you."
yeah,
That's
like
what I was
that
thinking
one.
too.
yeah. I thought that
Maybe
would
it
happen.
is.
And then we get like the hint when Thrawn starts talking about how he knows who, he
Yeah.
knows who Balin is. But yeah, I thought this was cool. And then they send this thing on her and like lock
Yeah.
her up with these orbs. I thought that was just
Yeah,
really
for
cool.
y'all
So
with kids, how much do you wish you had one of those?
yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
yeah. So I thought like this was a big reveal as far as seeing night. Like they just walk up and see Night Sisters. So, like that was like kind of the first, one of the first big hits of the episode. And then we get the next big thing. I think this is when like, oh yeah, this is when we get like Balin and Shin start talking, and I don't know if you guys remember anything specific from this part
Yeah.
that you want to talk about as far as them chatting with each other. This is when they start. I think this is when they start getting into like the different aspects of the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Balin talking about how he doesn't want to like just continue with the way of destruction, right? Like
The cycle of it, yeah.
the cycle of somebody wins, then they die, somebody wins, then they die, just like the rise and fall of the empire. And he wants to like do something like start fresh or do something new that isn't that, right? I don't know if you guys have anything more to add, because I kind of want to get to this next part too. But yeah, like I said, there's more mysterious stuff to me for them. Like, where is this headed? Where is this headed? He's like, I feel something. Balin's basically like, I feel something on this planet. Like he I don't know if he says like he's like feels a calling. I forget exactly what.
he says
He
calling.
says like a
Later
calling.
episode, I
Yeah,
think.
later. Yeah, that's like later on when he's talking to her again. Like, I feel a calling of like this is like he should be there, and it's almost like he sees this planet as being some powerful thing where he can start something to build something one way or another.
Right.
That's
And then
why
at the end, he says, when he sees the Raiders up there, he says, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." And I'm
Yep.
like, who's your enemy? We don't
Right.
really know,
I know,
yet.
yeah,
Right.
Is it Thrawn? Is it, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah. So like this is when I started thinking about. We can talk about this maybe a little bit later too, but like, are they going to take this galaxy and like? Let me ask you guys this: do you think Balin is going to die this season?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
You
Yeah.
think so,
100%.
Mike?
Yep.
what about
Yeah.
you, man?
I don't know, honestly.
I don't
I mean-
think. I almost lean towards no.
If he survives, as I love Ray Stevenson, and so it's no disrespect to him, but in respect of him, I hope they recast, because this character he created deserves to continue his story.
Yeah.
You know, so
I agree. This character, like they're spending a lot of time on this character to potentially just kill him off. I don't know. There's something about it where like this seems like a bigger story to me. And another thing, this kind of takes me back to thinking about how they're doing this intergalactic travel. Like, what if he goes his separate route in this show and he lives and like escapes or something, what have you, if Thrawn tries to go after him or whatever, and him and Shin go and like start to develop this other new thing that's outside of the normal galaxy. We kind of talked about, there's the ability for them to, now that they've opened up intergalactic travel and that there's other galaxies out there, they could world build a little bit more and make him a potentially like rise him up to be a threat in this other galaxy. Like, what does that look like? That's what I think would be cool, but I could also see what you guys are saying where he's just like gets in a fight and he ends up dying because Thrawn wants him dead.
Well, no, I think the reason why he dies is not necessarily for the purpose of Thrawn, but I think it's really more for the purpose of Shin. If I'm being honest with you, just the relationship that I see between them, I feel like there's more to it there than necessarily what on the surface it looks like is just a master and apprentice relationship. And I think there's more of a personal connection to each other than they've explained so far.
Yeah.
Again, all just theorizing here, but I feel like this is classic misdirection, where we're absolutely all in awe of Ray Stevenson, RP, of course, to the performance that he's done there, and he's been probably like the most fleshed out, but at the same time mysterious character
really
throughout the entire episodes there. So, when he's on the screen, there's so much presence focus on him, and he commands it so well. But I think it's classic misdirection because I feel like it's to set up Shin and her story down the road. I feel like that is typical A Star Wars. I mean, especially like I don't know, I go back to Episode 1. You know, the duel that you had with Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon. It's just like, you know, Qui-Gon was such a focal point in the movie, and obviously Obi-Wan was the Padawan, of course. But we all know Obi-Wan. But the fact of the matter is the entire movie while you're watching that one, you're focused on Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon because he's the leader of the group. And then when his sudden demise during the fight takes place, you instantly snap back like, oh my gosh, that's right. It can't be him be our hero forever because we know Obi-Wan is eventually going to take reign of being Anakin's, master, and eventually, dueling out in New Hope. So, I mean, for me, this feels like a classic Star Wars trope, and not in a bad way, but in a sense of where we're focusing on the wrong character because they're so phenomenal at what it is. But I think it's to set up the secondary character that that is shadowing them.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Do you think Shin kills him potentially?
People
Possibly, possibly. But then
like,
again,
I thought like maybe Shin was his daughter potentially.
Yeah,
me too.
I feel that vibe
like
too.
I feel like
do.
that's like this is the way their relationship is just has that kind of like it doesn't seem like they just know each other through some other avenue. Like they're too close, it seems like, and there's not like the way they communicate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to explain, but the way they communicate doesn't just seem like they're friends or like they've met each other some other way.
What I find interesting about the dynamic, though, is if you go back to episode 1 of the show and fast forward to where we are, Shin's kind of reaction to Balin's kind of commands and orders have kind of shifted. Like she was very disciplined and very soldier-like in the very beginning of this whole mission, but as time's gone on, you notice she asks a lot more questions and she questions a lot of the same things because it doesn't match the teachings that she's had so far. So now she's beginning to wonder because I don't think she knows what his plan is either. Is this in line with what our core beliefs were and what we were set out to do in the first place? And this could be a moment where she feels that he's kind of, potentially just, I don't know, gone away from what she envisioned they were going to be doing on this mission here, and it's just not faithful to what her teachings were that he taught her. You know what I mean? So, so it's a unique thing. It's just it's a fun speculation. Don't know for sure, but if I'm going by my Star Wars history, like this feels like a setup for a bigger reveal later.
Yeah. There's a couple comments in the chat here, like a couple predictions. Looks like Brig is saying Shin kills Balin or Thrawn does because Balin will show goodness. That was another thing. Like Balin, it's interesting because earlier on in the show, it seemed like Balin was like hinting at he's got some good in him and he might turn. But now it's taken the direction of I feel like he wants the power and he's really after creating his own thing. Spatria says Shin and Balin attempt to kill Thrawn. Thrawn kills Balin. Like that could be a possibility. I feel like this is like there's a lot of ways this could go.
in my book, it's Ahsoka. If it's not Shin, it's Ahsoka.
Yeah,
that'll do the deed. Yeah, right. Like they need a rematch.
That's another important thing. I think that's another like important thing is they're probably going to in some way bring it back to the main theme of the show, and that's about Ahsoka, right? Them doing their own thing and plotting that out for these last couple episodes doesn't seem like something they're necessarily going to do. So something's probably going to happen, I would think, between them. But this is like, and this is I think some of the stuff when we talk about is like waiting in anticipation of what's going to happen next. But nevertheless.
Well, real quick, what you guys were saying. I forget. I think D'Lo, you said something about this. Like if they end up staying in this galaxy because he's got this idea or whatever, it could be a sneaky end run around all roads leading to a Luke that a lot of people didn't like necessarily. So it's like a way to kind of work around the negativity felt in the community about the sequel trilogy. Because you could do, I mean, if there's something that fascinating and they have a really great idea, I mean, you could follow these characters for the next 10 years.
You could do something in another galaxy that's a whole nother route with characters that you already have solidified within what you're making. You know what I mean? And
you're free from the other canon.
Yeah, like I don't see them making this all of a sudden. I don't see them doing what they did with this show and doing this, bringing up other galaxies unintentionally. Like they've got to have plans to do something outside of that is what I would think. Like to create more stuff, but we shall see. Good conversation on that one, guys. That was Yes. Exciting stuff ahead. And then we get this scene, which
Yeah.
I thought was just so well done and
Yeah.
so awesome when Sabine is trying to use the Force. Also, another thing,
There
when
are
I first
peaches
saw,
in that room. Is that what you're gonna say?
there,
There are peaches. I can't be
Where?
the only one that sees them. Come
Where,
on.
where's the peach? Where?
That damn scene's so dark. Enhance.
don't get the ultimate Peach Boy started, aka
I
Cage.
say I see no peach.
When I first saw this,
Sorry,
I turned to my wife and I said, couldn't she just like squeeze through this crack in the wall? I was like,
That's true.
could she just like crawl up there and just like, depending on where she's at, but couldn't she just like wiggle through this little thing? Because this looks huge. This
Yeah. Seriously.
I was like, okay. And then yeah, obviously like she tries to use the Force, and you get the like, what a way to introduce, the Chimera, like just so cool. And then she looks like, look how huge this looks. She could absolutely get out
Totally.
of there.
Come on.
That's true.
Unless it's like
She's
a
really
full
high
drop
up.
down, but she could absolutely get her, get her body through that, 100%. But then we just get this picture is like
Insane. What a visual.
so cool.
I was telling Steve backstage before we started, like when this was coming up, all I was saying out loud was, "Show me the bottom, show me the bottom,
Yeah.
show me the bottom." Like
Yeah.
I wanted to see the paint.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
it
then we
looks
get to see it
so
here.
Cool.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
looks so
Look at that.
cool.
And then all the gold repaired
Yeah.
areas.
Mhm.
Really
And
cool.
you just like, just the scale of it is like just crazy. They did a really good job showing the scale, because
Yeah.
it shows like where they're standing, and like even right here, this looks huge to me from right here.
Ridiculous.
And then once you get to this point, look
Yeah.
how tiny this looks compared to this giant, massive Star Destroyer. Yeah, this is just like, they did a really good job showing like the scale of this here. I thought that was really, really cool. But
The tower they're on also kind of gave me a little Lord of the Rings vibe, like a little
Yeah.
Gondor.
Yeah.
Or,
Good call out. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Even this, like, it looked like this was so huge.
Because it is.
Yeah,
It is big.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
It's
it is.
just-
It is
yeah.
huge.
Shit's bigger.
Mm-hmm. That's what she said.
Also,
Hey.
do we know like where their ship went? I didn't
I don't know. I had some questions about that.
even
because
think about that until just now when I see like their ship is not on the, like, did it just like, where did it fly off to?
I don't know if they
Garage.
if they have some kind of magic elevator, because like later in the episode we see them ride off on
yeah.
those dogs and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
from the
Mhm.
ground.
That's a good point.
So
So maybe just took their ship down or something, like on
Yeah.
the, maybe on the on the platform or something. But anyways, yeah, this part was just wild. Very cool. And then they all walk in, and then finally,
And the music.
Jeez.
Like the
Yes.
music going on here too.
yes, the music. And then like, I really like how they showed Enoch before, like Enoch first. These troopers are crazy.
and they're saying Thrawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I didn't catch that at first, but they're chanting Thrawn.
This looks so badass right
So
here. I just think
Roman.
like, yes, it is so
Very
cool.
gladiator. That's instantly what I got.
Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. It reminded me of the movie Gladiator when I first saw it. I was like, these crazy designs of like, and like what people wore during the times in the
But that's like
Spartacus times.
yeah, and specifically though, that's a Roman death mask,
Mm-hmm.
which is like pretty cool if you
Yeah.
think the theory of them all being dead is true.
Yep. And then like, I didn't know, the only way I found out that it was like they were called night troopers was from the subtitles. Because
Yeah.
then it said, like, I went back and watched it the second time I watched this. It said like night troopers. Same with
Yeah.
when they show like the turtle people,
No,
whatever,
the
the
noti.
noti. Yeah, the
you have
noti.
to like
or-
watch the show with
yeah,
subtitles.
noti.
You miss so much.
Yeah, like usually I'll watch the, like when I watch the second time, I'll usually turn on subtitles in case, like, because sometimes they put little details in there. But yeah, this was like really cool reveal, and then we get like, yeah,
The man.
finally we get a Thrawn reveal, and it's like 17 minutes into the episode, so it was like relatively early. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna see some Thrawn, like a decent amount this episode. And then
It comes
this
out with
just
the
looks
one-liner.
So dope.
He
Yeah, then
has
he
to
comes
hit
out
the
with
dope one-liner.
Yeah, I forget exactly what he said. This is the day something. I forget exactly what he
That
says.
people
but it's a really,
oppose us or
it's a
whatever.
really, yeah. That there'll be the people who like will fear I forget exactly what he says.
Yeah.
But
He says, "What was first just a dream has become a frightening reality.
yeah, for those who oppose us,
may
yeah,
oppose
yeah,
us."
yeah,
So good.
yeah.
There's
What a
a really
Thrawn, what a
I
Thrawn
like
line.
Thrawn, yeah.
Just a perfect Thrawn line.
look at that poster. I don't know if you can see it. Like, I want this poster.
Sick.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that is cool. That is cool. Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Peyton, who's in the chat. Hello, everyone. What is
Hey,
up, Peyton?
Peyton, what's
Thank you
up,
for
dude?
being here, man. TK Magic Shop says, I bet someone already has this built and submitted to the 501st.
Oh yeah.
Somebody's like, I'm making this right away. I honestly would not doubt it. I would not
I want to see
doubt
somebody
at all.
do it, but instead of the frown, just make it a smiley face. And then let's see just how intimidating
You
it
won't, you
looks.
won't get approved.
And what's cool is you can take your crappiest trooper uniform and just wrap red tape around it and be like, dude,
Yeah.
Yep.
stuff
There you
for
go.
A little bit
Yeah,
of gold.
this looks
Gold
cool,
kind of
man.
everywhere, too.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
looks cool.
And that the gold too. I'm sure you guys have seen this. I forget. It's the Japanese. Okay, so there's like the tradition in Japan where if you break something
Yeah.
and you mend it together with gold, you've now created something even better than what you once had.
Yep.
And
Interesting.
I forget what it's called, but this is absolutely
Yeah.
a reference to that.
Yeah, I read something that like a lot of this is inspired by like Japanese stuff and like you mentioned the Roman thing. It's just very cool. I mean, to put all that thought into it and to have all like the historical significance of that. And honestly, for me, for like to even talk about it is just adds to it, I guess, more so. But
Yeah, it just adds a lot of texture to it
yep,
and realism,
yep.
you know.
yep, like they really put thought into the character designs. I always appreciate that.
And
I wa-
Enoch's name, all the
Yeah.
naming in this
Yeah.
show has to do
obviously
with like,
historical significance,
Yeah.
right? Like mythological names and stuff like that. Like they
Yeah.
didn't do that stuff by accident, right? But I want to get your guys' thoughts on, one of the hot topics, I guess. It might be the minority of people, but I don't know. The hot topic is like Thrawn's appearance. So I'll just go down the line here. And D'Lo, what do you think, man? How do you think, knowing how you've seen Thrawn, like maybe the animated stuff or
Right.
just seeing him, what are your thoughts on how the appearance and if do you think they got him right for the show?
See, now I feel bad about this because while you guys were all talking and bringing up Thrawn, I was quite like saying to myself, like, he's got a bit of a belly on him, doesn't he? I didn't want to bring this. I was kind of hoping this wasn't going to be a question there, and of course you asked me.
It's going to be a question.
But yeah, I was thinking of asking you guys like, what do you think about it before I replied? So, because obviously, like, I don't want to offend anybody's feelings. I know a lot of people
gonna
love
offend
this
anybody.
character, but like, I don't know. Just in fairness, I love the fact that they use the original voice actor. I think
Yes.
that's phenomenal. But if I'm being honest, I feel like he's about a few years past his prime to really play and really exude what I envision from watching Rebels, what he appears to. And granted, I know this is an older version of Thrawn there, so I mean, I can give it a pass on that. There, I mean, who knows what the menu is over on that planet for where he's been trapped all these years, right? So, but I don't know. Like, I've been very impressed with Herod and Sabine's casting. Obviously, Ahsoka belongs here. So I was curious to see how this was going to throw around because I know this was a big, exciting thing. There was a lot of fan casting for years for who could be playing Thrawn, and I love the choice of it in theory. But someone should have said, put down the donut at the catering before shoot. Just
The dude's almost like 70, bro.
But that's why I didn't want you to ask me. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like Jim Carrey and Liar Liar. I cannot tell a lie. Okay, so
And 70-year-olds can put down donuts, like just because he's old.
yeah,
doesn't
you
7-year-olds
know,
can exercise.
I mean,
I completely agree with D'Lo. I mean, if you remember The Dark Knight, remember the guy in hockey pads?
yeah,
right, in
yeah.
the beginning?
I'm
There's a
wearing
reason
hockey
they-
pads. Yeah,
There's a reason they cast a portly fellow for that character, so that the audience could look at him and say, yeah, like, you can't do what Batman does. Now, Thrawn isn't Batman, but Thrawn's character is very body, mind, spirit. So in my opinion, my impression of this character is he wouldn't let himself go, especially in a barren wasteland, and especially while preparing to get back to his galaxy and take over. So, like, this guy is a master in whatever type of martial arts. They have multiple disciplines. So to me, we're not picking on the actor. We're saying that this does not, it's the same reason you don't typically cast out of shape people to play superheroes. Now, he's not a superhero, but his character is about being pure in his physical abilities, and that's, if you've read the books and stuff, like, that's who he always was.
He works out in the animated.
He works out
animation.
constantly,
Works
and
out.
like anytime he's working out, he's training all the time, and whenever he's in hand-to-hand combat, he's just a killer, So I just don't see it as it's a character thing for me. So I don't think anyone should feel bad of saying, like, hey, he doesn't look right as the character. You're not picking on the actor.
I mean, he has a presence though, in his defense, that it's his character. It's always been his character, so he can play this character in his sleep. But I mean, physically speaking, to an audience member, let's say someone who doesn't know who he is, their first impression of Thrawn is this, and it's just like, how is it like for you? Everybody knows how brilliant Thrawn is now, right? On here, at least I'm learning. But like, if you put this in the eyes of the fan, the casual fan who doesn't watch Rebels and everything like that, what's their first impression of this here? And that's where now you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit more, because there's not immediate connection to, like, this guy is like a big deal. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
two things though, like what does help is his height. He towers over everyone, and I think they purposely cast a shorter guy to play Enoch than they might have, just to give Thrawn an even more commanding presence next to him. Yeah. And when he's standing in front of some of the other characters, maybe not Balin, but when he's standing in front of the other characters, he does tower over them.
That's a good point.
Okay, do you want to give your thoughts on how Thrawn looks?
I feel the exact same way as Mike and D'Lo are pointing out.
Haters.
Here's the thing, though. Like, it didn't kill it for me. Like,
no.
I did
I'm
take,
just kidding.
like, especially for this introduction scene, I think D'Lo said it best. Like, he has the presence, 100%. It was so cool as someone who did watch Rebels to see the voice that I associate with Thrawn coming out of a live actor's mouth. Like, so cool. The scene that did it for me, though, when we're talking about, like, the physical piece, not just his kind of his presence, but the domineering way, in Rebels we would see him stand over people, look down over his nose, right? For me, the scene was when he's doing the little interactions with Sabine, and he slowly walks up to her, right, and he's standing over her, doing that whisper, goosebump-inducing voice that he has. And I was waiting for those goosebumps to come up, and they didn't come in this episode. And so that's when the feeling hit, where I was like, "What's wrong here? Like, what am I not getting out of this?" Yeah. Sad. And then, I mean, I was looking forward to it, right? So yeah, I agree with everything that Mike and D'Lo was saying. Love pretty much everything about it except for the physicality.
Yeah. When I picture live action Thrawn, for me, what the look that I envision was more inclined with, like, you guys have ever seen Avatar?
Yeah.
Okay. So like the commander or the general for the mercenaries, like the silver-haired guy from the first one, the bad guy. I pictured like that kind of physique, older gentleman, right? But obviously still takes care of himself, because I mean that's part of who he is, because he's always prepared for battle. Right. Like, that character from that movie was always game to get into a fight just in case. So he gets himself in great shape. I picture, like, that's what Thrawn would be to me, based on what I know about him, what I'm learning about him now. You know what I mean? So it's something. We just got to get our eyes adjusted to it. Yeah, I don't want it to become like a talking point of, like, this is going to ruin the show for everybody now. It's not going to be anything that drastic.
Give and take there.
But like, we'll adjust. But obviously, first impressions are important, and obviously what he does going forward is going to dictate if it matters or not to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. By the end of the episode, I was like over it. But was anybody else thinking of the figure? I was like, oh, they're gonna. Of
course, 1,000%. Come on.
Yeah, man. I was like, the figure is gonna look like, I don't know.
See what they do.
Not how I imagined.
Put a fat suit on him.
That's what I mean.
There you go.
I was literally thinking, I was like, am I gonna pull some stuffing out to make him look better on my shelf? I don't know.
Pull some stuffing out. What type of fat suit are they gonna give this guy?
Yeah, but no, he killed it though in his performance, and the way they did the eyes and the blue, and looked really good.
Tighter FL says similar situation with Book of Boba Fett living in the desert with the dad bod.
100%.
Tem was like kind of similar, right?
How did he gain weight in the Sarlacc?
Exactly.
Yeah, so you like give it a pass, right? Brick says, I look at him more as a general than a fighter, so I'm good with the tummy. I don't know why the word tummy just makes you laugh sometimes. He's brains, which, yeah, I think there's some give and take here, right? I think ultimately, I agree with what you guys are saying. I think for me personally, I would rather have his voice in the one from Rebels, to hear his voice than to see somebody else recast and not have the same voice and have more physicality. To me, the voice, I was saying before the show, I was like, one of my most anticipated things was I cannot wait to hear Thrawn as Lars Mikkelsen with the actual voice that you heard in Rebels before. After watching that show long ago and finally getting to see him in live action, I really wanted to hear, like, the voice is just as powerful, if not one of the most powerful things for a character if you know the character. Like, you knew if you've seen Rebels, right, when you heard this guy, that like this is Thrawn 100%.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Like that was really important to me. Cage, you were gonna say something?
No. Mike was. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, Mike, sorry.
Like I don't think I think his face works really well for the character too. The high cheekbones, like he's got a lot of class in his performance, and it's all there. It's just if he could have lost a little bit of weight in the midsection, I think it would have suited the character better.
Yeah.
But
And I think too, I think that's people know, like, I wonder what people's takes are of who haven't seen him from Rebels. Because if you just saw him for the first time, I would think that, for me personally, I would think if you don't know who his character is and you've just seen him for the first time and you know how these other Imperial, generals and Moffs look and everything, that you're probably not going to be fazed by this potentially, is what I would think. If you see him, you're going to be like, oh, this is like, who's this guy? You're not going to say all the things we're saying, but it's because we know something about Thrawn and what he was before and like, worked out and all this stuff. But there's some, like I said,
the accuracy from all the other transformations are, I mean, that's not transformation, what I'm looking for, but yeah, from all the live action interpretations of these characters into live action, I beg your pardon, that's what I wanted to say, that, Ahsoka looks pretty damn close to how she looks in Rebels, minus the outfit. Sabine, of course, wonderful. Hera, spot on. So it's just like the bar is set so high, and it's been done so well to this point that I think this is getting blown out of proportion just a smidge, simply because of how well all the other characters have been translated so far.
Sure.
Everybody looks really, really good. And I think regardless, even this, like, this is obviously not a make or break thing. It's really a minimal thing. And I think his character is going to do just fine for the show. It's going to be interesting to see if he does any type of physical stuff in the show, as far as like. Okay,
so now you're teasing.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying not to laugh, because I was just saying, like, how are they going to present that? Because we know, like what Mike said, like, Thrawn fights. Like, the dude is a beast. So it'll be interesting. Like, I don't know. We're also like, whatever, it's been a decade or what have you with the time period. And like, maybe Thrawn's just like, Brick made a good point. Like, he's brains, but he's been brains, and he's also, really like, he can fight and do all this crazy stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him in the show. But yeah, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that, because I've been seeing so much stuff.
But dude, also maybe that we apply like human lifespans to these characters, but he's a chiss. Maybe they live to 300 years and he's only, you know what I mean?
Good point.
So
this is like his awkward puberty stage.
He's turning into a man now.
That's why you've never seen him with a beard. It hasn't.
Right.
There you go.
He hasn't grown the facial. He hasn't grown any body hair yet. Anyways, thanks for your thoughts on that one, guys. This scene was really cool. I thought, like, this picture right here, like, there is so much going on. Like, this is where we talk about characters in the show and like what they've developed into. I mean, the character development's just been so good. This is where I feel like we get the first kind of like, when I look back on like of how Thrawn is as a character, especially like how he knows things, just like his mind is so like his most powerful tool, right? Where he knows who Balin is and calls him like General Balin Skull, right? Like, I thought he knew he was a former Jedi. Like, that's where it's like,
cool.
Balin Skull is a mercenary. The dude left the Order. Who knows what he's been doing since he left the Order? And Thrawn knows him as a general. Like,
that was the first time we heard that.
Yeah, like, that is pretty wild to me, that Thrawn would just know this guy who he is now seeing right now as a mercenary. Like that's when that to me was like what stuck out to me of like, wow, so like this is really showing who Thrawn is and like what his mind is capable of as far as, you know, knowing who people are and just like being always a step ahead. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of his character, always a step ahead. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts on this scene about what was said. You can chime in if you want. We get like you can talk about this part too if you want with Sabine.
I felt like this is all played, and not in a bad way, but like almost the way they would have done it in the animated, like how she's just like so brazen and not wasn't as serious as a film would have played it.
She's like, oh, Thrawn.
Yeah, she's like, where's my ride? You know, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it worked. It was works for the tone of the show.
Yeah. D-Lo or Cade, you guys got any thoughts on this part?
It's fun to watch. It was just like, it's just like, like kind of Thrawn kind of put it there, kind of meeting a familiar face again after all these years, right? So I just think it was actually quite charming, to be honest with you there, because, we got past all the pleasantries and the shock of it there. She's like, I don't care. I'm here for Ezra. You know, I mean,
where is he?
You should be dead, but we're here. So where's my ride? So I like that. I thought that was a fun little, quick little, hey, you remember me kind of conversation, and you just, you kept the flow of it there. So I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I agree. This would that scene where he walks up to her, right? That's one I was referring to. Like, kind of like Mike had just mentioned. Like, I was waiting for it to almost feel like this is supposed to be kind of like a very sinister scene where he walks up like you've gambled the fate of your galaxy, and then to see Sabine's response, I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is the direction we're going. Let's get her on that doggy and
Get on that.
Yep. Yeah, it was like, I think, like Mike said, I feel like it was a very Rebels-esque scene of how Sabine acted.
Yeah.
Like it was like a live action version of how she would act, and like kind of how she would talk to, I guess. But yeah, I thought this was interesting too. They just like give her lightsaber and they just give her everything back. And then we find out, obviously, it's because Thrawn's like, well, she's going to go. And then Balin and Shin are going to go. And it doesn't matter what happens.
And then we're going to go.
Yeah. And then we're going to dip out of here and get back to the galaxy that we're from. I don't really care what goes on with them. Yeah. She can go try to find Ezra. So yeah, and then she gets on this, I keep forgetting what the name of this thing is. Is it a howler? Is that what it's called? I forget.
Yeah, they call it a howler. Yeah. I don't know if it's ever called that, but it's called that in the subtitles.
Oh yeah, okay, so it's a howler, which is just a really cool creature. That's one other thing I want to say about this episode was, for it being on a, and we'll get into it kind of like once we get more towards this part, but for it being on in a new galaxy, I thought the creatures that they introduced were really cool, especially the Noti, if that's how you say it. But yeah. Then I think this was a part too where Thrawn was like to Morgan Elsbeth was like, "Are we gonna send troopers?" And Thrawn just like looks at her like, "No."
Bro, he pauses for like 10 seconds.
Don't
do I smack her? Do I not?
And then he's like, our numbers have dwindled. Basically just like. So I was like, "Do we send troopers?" He's just like,
fine.
Who is this lady? Do you guys have thought? Like, do you guys think this is like an undead army?
Yes,
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
I think we're kind of all in agreement that these these stormtroopers are.
They're going up in smoke.
Yeah, like I wasn't sure at first until we see it. You'll get to it where they're like, oh, we have to load up all of this equipment from the catacombs. It's like, what else would you keep in the catacombs?
Yeah. There's Night Sisters.
And like, yeah. So what I honestly think is all of the troops we've seen and everybody in those boxes are all going to be turned into Maroks, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's going to kind of be his army that he will use to start the new war.
This is a fun scene.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that, Mike. I'm going to let you go first on this one as far as watching, because I know you love Sabine, and I kind of want to give your thoughts on this. We finally get to see Sabine like do work, the fighter that she is.
Yeah,
right.
So what's one thing that's really great about this is they cast a woman who has a ton of martial arts training. So she's won a number of competitions, Natasha Luberdizzo. So she does some kicks and stuff here that are really believable, and I really think that they didn't use a stunt double. I think that was her doing it. So she really sold this fight for me. It's a good thing she has a lightsaber and has some training because, again, that's one of my little disappointments about what they've done with her as a character is like, being a Mandalorian is not good enough. And that, to me, doesn't really serve the character all that well because all she's ever been is a Mandalorian and she survived to about 30 years old kicking ass all the time. But she always, in this show, has to rely on being somewhat of a Padawan. But it was still really cool to see, you know.
Yeah.
I like that she lets him go. She's not, she's not a killer. She chops his like staff at the end and just looks at him and he runs off. So pretty cool.
Wait, hold on. You said she's not a killer.
No, she kills if she has to.
I'm
If she
just
has
kidding.
to.
You were saying,
I ain't a
I'm
killer.
just kidding.
But
It
don't
just
push
reminded me of this scene. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, she doesn't just murder people for no reason.
She's
Like,
not a
they're
murderer.
attacking.
She's a
You're
killer.
sleeping, guys.
She at least waits.
Yeah,
They're all.
taking
just
her-
sleeping.
Oh, look at there's even this guy back here behind this rock over here. This
Yeah.
is like
He's
Bobby
just-
back
First of all,
here. This is
Lightsabers
murder.
don't kill anyone anymore. So
Oh, true.
They're all
they're
alive.
all, they're
That's
all
very
alive.
true.
They're all still alive. No, I'm just messing. I got what you were saying. I just thought. Then I saw this scene. I was like, this is funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a cool scene. Cool to see
Yeah.
her fight and like just do cool shit with her blaster and then pull the lightsaber out and like just do work on these what did they say, the bandits.
Man,
Yeah.
it was the next scene that had me questioning it. I was like, yo, he's got all your provisions on him. Don't send them away. Are you crazy? Like,
Oh, yeah,
that,
this-
that was
yeah.
just so weird to me. I don't know.
Yeah, she's like, go.
Another cartoony moment for me.
Another
Yeah.
cartoony and typical. Like, I feel like this is a typical Star Wars moment of like
100%.
doing sprinkling in something cute with a creature or something like that. Where
Yeah.
it's like a cute little.
And it's one that people can
funny
relate
thing
to
do.
because it looks like
Yeah.
a dog.
Yep.
So people
Yep.
can
Yeah, it's a cute
understand
dog.
that.
So everyone's like, oh, this is so cute.
And it's whimpering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was. Can I hear that howler again? I thought I just. Oh wow.
You thought I was playing the volume right through my
I did. I thought I
microphone.
was
No.
actually listening.
No, it's
there for a
very, very
second.
good. You guys got any more thoughts about this? Any other thoughts about the fight scene?
I do like the fact that she started with her blasters,
Yeah.
something that she's comfortable with, and then she had no choice but to pick up her lightsaber and rely on that there and trust that she can still do some work with that there. I thought that was just a nice little touch on how to just put the sequence together there. Because
Yeah, she
she's
didn't take up
she's
lightsaber
like
right
you said,
away.
she's 30 years old. She's been kicking butt forever. I mean, she's a Mandalorian. Of course, she knows how to use her weapons. But I like the fact that she had to use the lightsaber because she lost her weapons in that fight there. So I
Yeah,
thought it was
that's
a
a
cool
good
little
point.
touch.
That was a good point. And it
Yeah.
shows development
Yep.
in her.
I like how
Yeah.
she uses her armor too to like deflect blaster shots and stuff.
Very
I
cool.
think that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm
I
glad
always
they
thought that
started
was
doing
cool.
that
And like
in Mando.
people, I love when like Mandalorians, their armor gets hit and they can just like take blaster shots,
Yeah.
and like deflect it off their armor. I think that's really cool, and I thought that served her scene well also. Let's see here. Then this conversation, this was kind of where I think Thrawn mentions, well, Balin's a Jedi, he's a former Jedi, like he's starting to like lose some trust, potentially with, what Balin's. So it seems like we were talking about the conversation of like, well, what's going to happen with Balin? It seems like Thrawn, knowing his character from the past, that he's already like a step ahead of Balin and whatever Balin thinks his plans are. That's what gets me worried about the Balin situation, is knowing how ruthless Thrawn is when it comes to that stuff. If Balin tries anything, like Thrawn is going to not let that happen. Is kind of my worry for Balin as a character, even though I don't want him to die. But yeah.
Real quick, I like how he's got a sidearm on him at all times. Like, I don't recall anybody else in the Empire ever having a sidearm on them, like just on their own ship like that. It's cool.
Yeah.
Looks great here, guys. Look at this. Looking fine specimen Thrawn is here.
Yeah, we need this figure. Come on.
Belt is holding on for dear life. Sorry. That's the last time I'll bring it up. The last time I'll bring it up, I swear.
Wait, what did you say? What'd you say?
I said that belt is holding on for dear life in the last scene there.
Night Sister Magic keeping it on.
Yeah, you can
That's
see
what he
like
means.
you can see the suit like stretching. Like, yep. All right.
That's what he meant at the end when he was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I need you
I
to
call
call on your
upon
dark
your
magic
magic.
one more time. I really got to take a shit. I can't
Yeah.
get this thing off. Yeah.
I'm about to have lunch. I call upon your magic.
Oh my gosh. God, man. Okay, and then we get the reveal of these little creatures here. These dudes are cool, man. I think this is such a cool creature.
Yeah.
And like something we've never really unique, something we have not seen before. I feel like
Brought me right back to the 80s, like Dark Crystal kind of stuff, like just
yeah, this
puppetry
is
and all
so
that.
cool. So this is what kind of what I meant by like I felt like this episode was like from a new galaxy. We get this howler, and then we get these Noti. I thought that was just like it felt like something different. You know,
Yeah.
like we're always used to getting creatures, but I thought it like felt like something different. That looks so cool.
Something really small that I like that they did, which I thought would be obvious, but I wasn't sure when the scene started. I'm really glad they don't speak basic, like they don't speak the English.
Yeah, they have
that
their
would've
own.
been terrible.
Yeah, they have their own
Yeah,
language,
that like
right?
because again, if you went to a whole new galaxy, how do you know they're going to speak basic in Star
Right.
Wars? So like when they were getting ready to talk, I'm like, please don't just be like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm really glad they did that. So there was like almost like a struggle to try to communicate, and they ended up finding this common ground with the symbol, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also surprised and like thought it was really neat when you first saw him stand up, and I was like, he's wearing clothing. Like this is a is a sophisticated, you know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
I thought
Being,
that was really
yeah.
cool.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I thought they're cool. Anybody, D'Lo, you got any thoughts on these on this part
Yeah.
here?
No, I love the creature design. It actually kind of reminds me of like an older movie here. I'm not sure if you guys ever seen it. John Carter from Mars.
I think
I
so.
haven't seen that one.
It's a old. I mean, it's not an older movie. It's like early 2000s. But
I think I've seen that one.
it's the guy who plays Gambit in the really bad
Yeah.
Wolverine movie. And
Oh yes, I do remember.
John
that.
Carter from Mars.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's very similar design is there. So I thought that was like a nice, cool reference that I thought of instantly when I saw those guys. But yeah, all good stuff.
So real quick, and I don't want to I'm sorry, I don't want to belabor this, but this is one of the reasons I took this episode down a little bit was because Sabine, she should have suffered a bit. Like by the time she found Ezra, she should have been on the verge of dehydration or almost death or something like that. This is all just way too easy. And I know it's an 8-episode television show and we're trying to move things along.
Yeah.
But they could have done a little bit more with this, I think. So there's a
Yeah.
few missed opportunities here. A big missed opportunity coming up more towards the end that I'll get into, but this is one of them for me.
Yeah, I thought what was really interesting is they've been gone for years. They've been on this planet. Thrawn is obviously trying to find Ezra, and he's like, we'll give you the intel on his last known location.
Right.
And then they kind of used the thing that we're going to get to, obviously, when they reveal Ezra of like, oh, we got to get up and move because we can't stay in one place too long. So for all this time that they've been there, Ezra's been evading them that whole entire time like that. He's been moving around with them the whole entire time with the, with
Piece
the
of
Noti.
cake.
Or we don't know, but it seems like that's what they used as the, okay, Thrawn can't find Ezra on this planet. But then I'm like, okay, so Sabine stumbles across these people, like these guys, these creatures, and they take, they go right straight to Ezra. Like she finds them that quick, but Thrawn can't.
I mean,
2 hours.
Yeah.
And he's handing out pins that say,
Yeah.
I know Ezra. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but I'm saying Enoch had this serious chat with Sabine when she was leaving. Just like die well out there. Like
Yeah,
like,
die well,
There's
and
no.
then-
It's just like, oh, you guys been looking left. I went right this time, and I totally was just standing right there.
Yeah.
So
So I agree. I think, Mike, that's a good point. I didn't really think about that, but it would have been nice to see maybe. That's why I say I was surprised when we got Thrawn and Ezra in the same episode. I thought that we would get it spaced out to where there was going to be some work involved more so to get to Ezra, but it seems like they did. This is a shorter show, and like they wanted to just get straight to it, but that takes away a little bit as far as like they could have had it make her work a little bit more rather
should
than
earn it.
stumbling upon a creature that,
Yes.
Ezra, oh yeah, we've been helping him out, we'll take you right to him.
yes, yes.
Um,
Maybe nursing an injury from the prior fight, or just give the character a
Yeah.
struggle. You
Yeah.
know?
Like
Yeah.
yeah.
What all I had thought of, because I had the same thought, Mike, during this part, was don't let the dog come back. Like, what if the dog just ran off? You know what I mean? And then it didn't come
Yeah.
back. So then she's walking maybe a little bit further.
Exactly.
Something.
Yeah, like make her work for it.
Yeah.
speaking of the
That's a good
dog,
point.
how much you want to bet there's a tracker on that dog?
Ah, could be.
I hadn't thought about that.
It's good. Dude,
There
that's
probably
a good,
is.
That's a good point.
Or the other dogs that they're riding can smell it or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. It's a good point. But yeah, I thought that was just that's a really good point. I didn't Yeah, it went so quick. Like that was Cage. I might have brought this up to you too. Of like, yeah, she like did not need any time at all to find Ezra.
2 hours, maybe.
And Thrawn
Like
and
2
him
hours flight.
have been on Peridia for this long, and like Thrawn's gathering all this intel, and we know how smart Thrawn is. But then like, yeah, it's basically okay. She meets these creatures. We'll take you right to him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And remember too, we have a timeline. Like they're leaving in 3 rotations.
Yep.
It looks like they left about 10 minutes later, so to go find her.
Yep.
So
An hour, 2 hours flash.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, what's up?
Yeah.
right.
Yep. Really quick, right? We kind of spoke to this part here about them talking. I think Mike, you brought up the point of like, you know, Shin has started. I think you had said Shin is starting to ask a lot of questions. I think maybe D'Lo, you did too. Of like, yeah, D'Lo, you said she's just starting to question Balin more and more and more. And this is like one of the times where she's like, "Are you sure we want to stay here, like on this desolate planet? When like, are you sure we shouldn't go with them? Like they're going back to a galaxy. We don't know how we're gonna get back there. We just like so she's getting a little bit of it seems like a seed of doubt as far as like, okay, so we're just gonna stay desolate on this planet,
Right.
that we just traveled to another from another galaxy to get here. Thrawn's gonna leave and we're just gonna be on this abandoned, like basically abandoned somewhat planet. I'd be concerned. I'd be concerned too.
Well, I think it's like I'm not sure if it was Mike or D'Lo who said it, but it's like he's still figuring out what he wants to do, and he's not telling her anything. You know, it's probably gonna end bad, but I want to see what happens.
Yeah, he's not telling her anything. There's like that mystery element, but yeah, it's what's gonna happen. What's gonna happen? You guys got any more thoughts? Anything else? Anything else you want to add as far as Balin and Shin go to wrap your thoughts up for the episode for them?
I guess, you know, Steve, you've been mentioning like anticipation. I'm excited for next week because I think we're going to get a 2-on-2 tag team here. Tornado tag. We're probably going to go at it. You know, Balin and Shin, and maybe we get to see. I'm probably going to see live action Ezra. So I'm excited to in action. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we got this tag team match coming up. I'm excited.
Yeah. So like, are they gonna? Yeah, if they fight Sabine and Ezra, you know. And
So does anybody have like any like kind of theories, like when Balin says he's looking for like a way to kind of resolve the never ending cycle of the Jedi and the Empire going back and forth? What power do you think he's looking for? What do you think is on this world that he thinks is there to do that?
The thing I was thinking of. Oh, sorry, have both of you guys seen Rebels completely, or?
Not completely. I'm at the finale of season 2, but go ahead. I'm curious.
All right,
I have. We're good.
Was a character called the Bendu, and so George Lucas was never a fan of this idea of this like gray Jedi or people sort of in the middle, but Filoni is a fan of it. So I guess Filoni's not 100% tied to George Lucas's Star Wars, and he's doing his own thing. I don't know. That's something I was thinking of. Like maybe he's looking for that middle ground, perhaps, so that there isn't this like cycle, but just like living in the middle. Perhaps. What do you think?
Well, I have a theory. I'm actually quite proud of my theory. I think it's decent. So, all right. So I was reintroduced to the world between worlds, right? Like everybody else, the last episode there. And when he keeps talking about cycles of how things are going, I feel like he's trying to break the cycle, but literally, I think he's trying to find a way to get access to the world between worlds and find a way to change something in the past. That's my theory.
That'd be badass. That's cool.
I had a very similar thought. Not that he was going to try to change the past. I really like that, D'Lo. But the same thought I had was maybe the calling he's hearing is the world between worlds, and maybe there is a point or a gateway here. Maybe the call he hears is the really handsome fellow we saw a lot last week in that episode, named Hayden Christensen or something like that. I also too thought maybe world between worlds.
Do you think it might be also, and that's an awesome theory. Damn, you guys are making me think. Do you think it might also? Because it seems like something destroyed this planet, right? And it seems like the Night Sisters want to leave as well, and so maybe it is a power that's bigger than anything we've seen before, and it's what led to the downfall of these Night Sisters. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No,
Go
it
ahead
could
and
be
finish
both.
that.
It could be both. Of
I
those
was gonna
things.
say
Sure.
the thing if he's trying to tap into the world between worlds, if they go that route, he will 100% lose because there's no way they let Balin take world between worlds or anybody gain access to that and manipulate any of the events that have happened. So I'll say like if they get into world between worlds, he will fail. Like that's what I'll say. If that ends up happening, somehow he gets access to it, there's going to be something that happens to where he's going to fail doing that. Like there's no way he wins that battle. I guess that's what I would say to that.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is a potential for world between worlds to be like that's obviously not the last that we've seen of it with with what's taking place. Like we're going to get more of that, and we know too, D'Lo, you're going to see like in Rebels like there's people want to tap into want to tap into the power of what the world between worlds allows. It seems this is tough. I think it's that's a good theory, but we know like what it is, so why is he being so we already know what it is, so why is he being so mysterious about it too? Like he could just come out and say it. He could just say, there's a place where if you gain power to this place, you now hold the key to basically manipulate whatever, like kind of basically you hold the power to transcend space and time. Like that's a very powerful tool to have. But he hasn't spoke to it, and to keep it as a mystery element when people already know what it is seems like I guess like that might be an odd choice. Like if they were to reveal it as World Between Worlds, I'd probably be like, they could have just said like that's what it was because we already know what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I think like anything World Between Worlds would be a cool thing to add in.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
maybe
know.
you're
I
right.
really don't know.
I
From an
like
audience
it.
perspective.
I like it for the very reason why you said sneaker, because you would, from your experience, you just say it, right? Because you already know it. But that's the thing, though. I'm really, as much as this is a love letter to all the seasons of Rebels, I still feel like Filoni has a really good grasp of what gets a general audience there, and I think he's trying to play to those tropes to get their engagement to it there. So it may not feel like a big deal to you, but I think imagine what, like, again, the person who doesn't know Rebels and doesn't know really what the world, other than what they saw, this like bluish looking space Ahsoka was in the last episode, because that's all they know of it there.
That's
For
true.
that, so for that type of
Yeah.
reveal, I think it's more impactful for the audience member who doesn't know what it is, as opposed to like you guys who totally know what it is and just come out and say it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel like he's playing, like he wants to appease the diehards, but he wants to gain the casuals, and I think that's where what I've been really really appreciative of Filoni and his work, because that's what Star Wars needs so badly right now. Because obviously the new trilogy was such a cluster that having established characters like this that you guys love, and then fleshing them out for new fans to love, is going to help rebuild the galaxy and the universe that Star Wars is, right?
Yeah.
So I think I think it's as simple as like it's something that's being held for the casual, so that way it's a big reveal for them, not so much for you in this case.
Yeah, I think that's why I don't count it out, because I can see it's also interesting because like we don't, what I thought was going to happen when they showed, like when we first saw it in episode 4, the end reveal of Anakin and Ahsoka World Between Worlds, I thought we were going to flesh out some of the vagueness of what World Between Worlds is, and they have not done that yet. Like they basically, and we don't even know like what truly, I guess, like it's all mysterious speculation as to what Ahsoka was actually experiencing. Was it a near-death experience? Was she like, whatever? Was she having a vision? Was like, it's just so like nobody can definitively really say, because there's like this mysterious element to it. It did not flesh out anything about like what, like these certain specifics about World Between Worlds, and they might not ever do that. I guess I don't really know. But that's why I say I don't count it out. I just know if that happens with Balin, it's not going to work out for him. But it'd be a really cool way if they can. I would be very happy if that's what he's looking for, and they flesh out the World Between Worlds more, and we learn more about that, and like that's part of like the story that they're going towards, and like if people can if you can tap into this, like there's things that can happen. I think World Between Worlds is great and really interesting. I think that'd be really cool too. Watch us say all this. and then Balin just dies. Like he's just like
Yeah.
so the Sabine and Ezra fight them, and Balin dies.
He just
Yeah.
came for the he
just
just came
dies.
for the noti. He's like, I think they're
Yeah,
very
just get-
cute.
yeah. Because like you guys said too, like D'Lo, you made a really good point earlier too. Of like this seemed like I really like what you said about them hinting at Shin being like they're building on her, like that trope of her like starting to go against the grain of what he's thinking. So like it's just really cool. It's just really fun to talk about, honestly, like what could happen.
Sometimes the fan theories can be more exciting than the actual work itself. Yeah, I'll admit.
Yeah,
Sometimes
like
we can hope,
Marok,
all right?
like Marok.
Marok, yeah.
Yeah. We all thought was
Star
well, I
Killer.
guess like there was
Not
some
all.
intriguing stuff. Well, yeah, not all.
You thought it was Star Killer.
There was that was very like they had a lot of there was a lot of ammo for that theory
Because
you
of
know,
Sam
but
Witwer.
didn't
like,
work
that
out. Yeah,
was-
Sam Witwer's
yeah.
involved, and he has said he's involved in
still
some
don't know.
capacity. We still don't know.
He was in
still
the
don't
credits
know.
again for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So
Yeah. So who's he? He might be. Also, I wonder if he's just voicing like that. Could be for
Random.
literally if he's doing the Thrawn calling for the night troopers. He could be on the. He could.
yeah.
You know.
he
so-
could be the droid, right?
Yeah.
Like
99% complete.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That might be Sam Witwer, and we
Yeah.
just don't know it. And but
He
it's
could be
fun to talk
Enoch.
about, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could be a number of characters.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, yes.
Enoch Star Killer confirmed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just yeah. I am I'm just glad we have the ability to with how much mystery is going around or like revolving around these characters that it's exciting and fun to speculate because I feel like there haven't really been characters like this in a while where like we've been able to really do that. Like this is a fresh thing that has potentially like big implications. So I think it's nice. It's
so
it's
much
needed.
fun.
It's needed, yes.
And it's like one of those reasons why it's frustrating to not get like it's nice to get that Netflix dump, right? Where you just get every episode at once, but it's also fun to have a week between them to talk about them and like watch YouTube and just have fun with it. And if your theories don't come true, who cares? I mean, you had fun. You're getting your money's worth out of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, for sure. Great thoughts on that one. Their armor, I'm sure we all agree that their armor is badass.
Yep.
Super dope.
Again,
man.
like out of world, like out of galaxy, a new thing that's just like stuff we haven't seen.
Little samurai vibe.
Yet so
Yeah,
Japanese.
samurai,
Yeah,
yep, so
exactly.
Japanese, exactly.
I would get that if that was a figure, honestly. And you
Yeah,
know, I'm
I would
I'm not
too.
big on the trooper stuff anymore. Or the army building. That's badass.
Yeah,
As long
like
as
this
those
is-
dogs need to be rooted hair though. They're-
Yes, absolutely.
Artisan.
Dude, I'm in a group chat and I don't think it like a lot of people hadn't seen the episode yet, and I was like, all I'll say is figures. Like this was the most figure heavy episode we've had.
Yeah, I really hope Hot Toys does. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
And
how many
D'Lo,
are they
that wasn't a
gonna
shot at
release?
you, by the way. That was
No, you're
that
good,
was my
you're
that
good.
was my Steve impression actually. So.
Artisan Howler.
Yo, by the way, Hasbro unveiled their Balin and Shin figures, so like
I
we
saw
know
that.
there's no like
that
boycott on
license is for the
producing
taking.
him. Yeah.
Yep. I saw the Black Series Shin and Balin. From their little thing they had or whatever. So that's exciting. That gives me hope that they would be a really cool pairing, for sure to have. Obviously, but yeah, armor looks really cool. And then we get to this part, and something that somehow Thrawn couldn't find. Thrawn
Bro,
couldn't
just take a
find it.
shuttle and look for the fucking
Just
things.
fly around.
Your intel sucks.
Your intel
It's like-
sucks.
Yeah, what good is
Yep.
it like, oh, I think they're coming when people fly in this universe,
Yeah.
you know? It's,
Yeah, my question is too is like, what was the last known location that he actually gave Sabine to find Ezra?
Yeah.
But and you know what? Maybe honestly, maybe it's at the point where Thrawn's like, I don't really care. People are coming to get me. I'm not really focused on going to get Ezra. He's there, and whatever. I'm leaving,
Yeah.
and he's not going to be able to get out of here. Maybe that's how Thrawn is perceiving it. So he's just like, whatever.
and then send out the two, Shin and let these nerds fight each other while I bounce, you know?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think
Exactly.
that's probably what we're gonna
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, like he just wants them to fend for themselves, basically. Okay. Cool scenery. I like this stuff. I thought it was a cool little area. I think like they have like their, like I said, I think these creatures are cool. And then we see the man himself.
There he is.
We see him. which some people are saying is the Moses of Star Wars because
Yes.
episode 2 Obi-Wan was.
Yeah, I saw that. That was
Jesus.
good.
I saw a meme of like
In 2002, we got Star Wars Jesus. Now we have,
Now we have Star Wars
2023 Star Wars Moses.
I saw like the meme of like the picture frame and then Ezra on there and it says, "You think my grandma will notice?"
That's so good. I hadn't
so
seen
good.
that. That's great.
Yeah, I was like, "You think my
Writes
grandma will
itself.
notice?" Yep. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on because I've talked with D'Lo. I don't think I talked to you about this, but Mike and Cage a little bit about this of how did you think, like, what were your thoughts about how this interaction went down? We'll go reverse here. We'll start with Cage. As far as the Ezra reveal, what are your thoughts on Ezra and just like kind of how this went down? And yeah.
To be honest, I thought it fell a little flat. Now, I'm really trying to give same thing we were talking about with Thrawn, right? Like I'm really just going to give it space to let it grow, right? In terms of maybe the presence or what we're ultimately going to see from this actor playing Ezra. So nothing against either of these actors. I just didn't. I was, again, kind of like I was saying with Thrawn, I was waiting for the goosebumps. I was waiting for this giant smile to come across my face, and it did, seeing, Space Moses up against the side of the little house there. And then I'm like, here we go, the big reunion. And I was waiting for that feel-good feeling, and I never really got it. I do think it fell just a little bit flat, but I'm really trying to give it leeway. I didn't take any like points off of this episode for anything like that. I don't know. I guess I was expecting a little bit more. I think their banter was on par. Yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at. I thought it fell a little flat.
Damn.
Yeah.
Mike, what about you, man?
First thing I'll say is excellent casting. I think he is going to make a fantastic
Yeah,
Ezra.
100%.
I was nervous with the hologram scene of him. He felt like really flat and wooden, and I was like, ugh.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's perfectly cast. Second thing I'll say is that this is the reason I deducted a full point off this episode, and I think I show more enthusiasm to see my wife when I come home from work. These are supposed to be like she's risking.
Smart man.
I love my wife so much, of course, I would show her enthusiasm.
Throw that in once a stream.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
Yep.
Well, with as much attention as I show Sabine, I always have to make sure that I include my wife in the stream as well. Sure. But this fell super flat for me, like Cage said. You are risking your entire galaxy for this man. You should run up to him, cry, hug him. Oh my God, not play it super cool like this. This was such a letdown for me. Not only did she not struggle to find him, she was too relaxed when she saw him for the first time. And he looks totally different. And last time she saw him, he was a teenager. Now he's a man with a beard. It's like, wow. I just didn't get any of that. And that was really disappointing. Disappointing to the fact that I hope in the next episode there's some kind of fake out, or he doesn't want to leave, or I need some tension. I need something to happen to enrich what I've seen in this episode. And remember, we're judging each one of these as an isolation.
Yeah.
So I hope we get something more, something deeper from this. I hope that he's upset that she came. That she's upset with her choice to risk the fate of the galaxy for his sacrifice. Something. I need some more meat on the bones here.
Yeah, I think that's what you're going to get, Mike. I think
that conversation is going to happen. They put it off to the next episode, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I just want to enjoy the fact that you're alive.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, if somehow he finds out that like he could have stopped Thrawn from, we'll see. I don't want to talk too much. We'll see what
There's
happens.
still too much more that needs to be revealed, right? D'Lo, what about you, man?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for me, like I was expecting this big moment, and I feel like that's kind of what we've been led to believe. I mean, from the very first episode, for her whole character, I mean, again, I felt like she's very different from Rebels as far as how I perceive her compared to her. I feel like she's a little bit more, I don't know, I don't want to say the word reserved, but she doesn't have the same like she has a great personality in Rebels, and I feel like this one she seems like very more reserved, more angry, more annoyed by everything there, and just kind of like maybe in a sense maybe a little bitter. Maybe is the word I would use too. So, but I feel like the one thing that never wavered was how much she was determined to find Ezra, right? And you know, she even did some questionable character decisions there just so she can finally get to Ezra. And the whole build up it there, I just felt like when we were talking about Thrawn earlier when he made his appearance, say what you will about physically speaking, like emotionally, he was Thrawn through and through, and he nailed his part what he needed to nail. Now I don't believe it was Ezra's like his job to do the same in this scene here. I felt it needed to. I think he played it very well. I think the energy wasn't matched the right way with Sabine. I feel like she should have been almost at a point in maybe verge of tears, maybe. I don't know, just like how relieved she was to like finally after all these years, after never losing faith that he's out there, he's alive somewhere, then that's the moment, and I feel like that would have been like a Shakespearean moment at the end of this episode here where like, here it is, a happy ending right before something bad's going to happen. Perfect Star Wars, like transition to like, if it gets good, it's going to be bad because the Empire or whoever the villain, they're going to strike next. And that's what we're in for our next chapter, the next episode. Stay tuned for that. Yeah. But it didn't do that. It just, it played it cool, almost to a point of failure on that there, where it missed the mark for me. I just felt like, man, you could have showed a little bit more emotion, a lot more emotion there, and it would have sold the importance of Ezra to everybody, again, who doesn't know who Ezra is, because the talk has been him. And again, you got to keep looking at it as a casual too, because this is also for them. And more importantly, the job is to get them more involved in Star Wars again too. You got to do it for them. I mean, we know more or less that their relationship is really tight on the show. So you naturally would expect that, but for the casual, they don't know the dynamic. All they know is what they've been told. Ezra's important. Well, you finally saw him, and then it was just like, oh, hey, what's up, bro? And that's like, wait, what are we doing here? That made zero sense. So it's a miss. I mean, I hope it can rebound from it there, but yeah, it didn't land for me either. I think Ezra was good though. I liked him. I thought he was very charming in the few lines that he had though. I felt like, okay, that sounds like Ezra from the show to me. So.
Yeah, it was just poor direction, right? Like the actors played it really well. You know the meme of Wolverine from the X-Men cartoon where he's rubbing Jean Grey's picture in the bed and he's like, like that's what she's been doing with his hologram, like rewatching it over and over and over again, 10 or 11 years, and now she sees him and she's like, "Hey, what?
Yeah,
she quite literally betrayed Ahsoka to do this, right?
She risked it all. She literally
everything.
And
she's like, "What's up, bro?"
I'm similar to. So when I first saw it, I was like, it's not. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it'll depend on how they flesh this out, but I feel like, Sabine has been. Look what it did to her emotionally, losing Ezra, and then for her to see him and then them do like this, like back and forth, kind of like friendly banter, which is known to the characters. I think it was just used in the wrong moment.
Agreed.
It was used in the wrong moment, and I think in that moment she finds him alive. Like, I would be freaking out if somebody I really cared about 10 years later, what have you, however many years it's been. I just did all this stuff to risk everything, literally risk her life basically, to find you, and you're alive. Like, I'm crying and running up to you overjoyed and very happy. But it's just like when I first saw it, I was kind of like, like it's not horrible. Like I'll give it a pass, but I feel like the more I've thought about it, it's just like not the way that I would have thought we would see an Ezra Sabine reunion.
And again, to go back to Mike's point that he made earlier, when the struggle for Sabine to find Ezra in this episode, how much mileage that would have got out of the circumstance and the scene itself, if she had struggled more to find him, and almost to the point of where she may have made a mistake in her mind, and she might very well die in this planet here, not knowing if he's alive or not. If you just suspended the disbelief a little bit more there, then making the reunion happen, I think with the circumstances of the journey and the relief to finally find him, I think it would have felt more earned. But it was like everything was on fast forward, times 4. to get to point A, point B, and then just like literally, she doesn't have a speckle of dirt on her. You wouldn't even know she fought a couple
Her
of
makeup is perfect. Yeah.
right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She looks like nothing happened. She just literally came off the ship and found him, and that's where like a little bit of extra time spent on that, maybe add a couple more minutes to the episode to just give that opportunity to kind of like flesh out a little bit more. That and then, yeah, mission accomplished. It's earned. Yeah, we're happy you survived this crazy planet.
Make
and
her earn it a little bit more.
and then that would have, even if they didn't have the emotional breakdown where she's crying and excitement, the fact that she survived and then managed to find him, I think that would have made the scene better because it's like she just went through hell, but she's playing it cool in front of him. You know what I mean? And that could have made more
That's a good
sense.
point. That's a good point.
Or what if she was left for dead by the sand people of this planet, and we have a rhyming situation where she's found by him, like Obi-Wan found Luke.
That would have been cool.
And he kind of nurses her back to health.
Yeah.
And I don't
Because there's
missed opportunity in my.
There's never a point. I think the main thing, talking about all this is there is never a point where you think Sabine is at risk at all in this episode for anything bad to happen to her.
Yep.
There's no challenge.
Doesn't
Like
care about
when she
seeing
comes
Thrawn,
across these
not
bandits that
intimidated.
she's gonna just destroy it. Like there is nothing, no thought of she's gonna get really hurt here, like something bad's gonna happen to her here. No, it was like, okay, here's a bump in the road. Let's face this easy obstacle essentially and be on your way, and then come across these creatures that lead you right to him. It was kind of just like, it's probably, my guess is, like we talked about, a quick way for them to progress the story along without having the resources or the ability to draw it out. But it sounds like we all would have, appreciated that a little bit more. But yeah, just like the emotional part of it is just like, I just can't imagine I can't imagine personally having these feelings or acting like this if I haven't seen somebody in this long. And this is what she has wanted. Like, this is what she's basically yearned for all these years, is to find Ezra. The one thing I'll say is it's going to be interesting to see what happens with their relationship, because in Rebels too, like they almost have, like I was talking to Cage about this, like they have like this like platonic relationship. It's not like, it's borderline like you're like, are they like in love with each other? You don't really know. It's almost like they looked at that and they were like, we want to keep their relationship without going too far to the point where like it looks like they love each other. We want to keep it like this, like kind of how they already are in like in Rebels. And it just seemed weird. It was just weird.
I hope they keep that platonic thing. Like, I like that he had a boyish crush, but that was it. I don't think we need to force the romantic.
It almost, do you see what I mean? Like, it seems like they took that aspect of their relationship and threw it into this conversation, them meeting up. So it didn't seem like they were over emotional and super, super attached to each other. Like they were like, because I think there's been complaints in the past of like people getting like being romantically involved. Like if they would have ran up and kissed each other, people would have had a problem with that. So I wonder too if there was some sense of this, like, hey, we don't want this to be over emotional. We want their relationship to stay kind of what it is. But at the same time, for me, it's like that's kind of a miss, because this is what Sabine, maybe like that's how they want to do it. And they just saying like Sabine wanted to find her friend and like wasn't going to be some big emotional thing. But it just seems weird after all that time. But
one other thing I want to ask you guys, if you thought about this, like when he's like, it went well, right? It worked, right? And she's like, yeah. I'm kind of like, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
No.
remember when, oh shoot, I don't want to spoil this Rebels moment, but basically something happens in Rebels that causes the Death Star to be the main project that ends up being worked on rather than this other project that Thrawn was going to work on. And because that happened, the Death Star was created. And remember that guy Darth Vader that you like fought? It's like, well, yeah, he used that weapon to kill billions of people and like blow up planet. Like, yeah, we did a good thing by getting rid of Thrawn, but like, no, everything was horrible for the last.
So one problem with that, nothing big.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the one thing though is like, I think the one kind of counterpoint is did it like reverse everything that happened with Ezra doing that? Is we don't truly know if the Empire would have actually fallen if Thrawn was still a threat, because if Thrawn was still a threat, it could have been prolonged, right? Because he was like their main Like, imagine Thrawn still being there during the time of the uprising of the Empire and Palpatine. Like, that would have been more difficult to overcome than what they had to overcome.
Definitely.
So I think, like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's fully reversed in that, oh, she's going this and resetting everything by sending Thrawn back, because we don't know if the Empire would have fallen in that, you know, if Thrawn would have still been part of that, because he was obviously one of their biggest people. So I'll say that about, you know, I don't think it's completely undone because the Empire did fall. Also, Ezra probably doesn't know any of this.
No, he doesn't.
Like, he doesn't know
He's
about
got a
the
lot to
Death
be
Star. He
filled
doesn't know, or he doesn't know about the second Death Star. Like, he doesn't know about some of this stuff. Like,
Who
it's
the
just-
hell is Luke Skywalker?
yeah, like, how is that gonna get fleshed out? I feel like we're gonna see that. So I think, like, we're talking about this now because this was the ending. There wasn't a lot between them, and you know, Sabine's like, oh, I just wanted to spend time with you and happy that you're alive. I don't really want to talk about anything else. I'm just happy you're alive. That's kind of pushing it probably to the next episode where there's going to be a serious conversation, is my guess.
Yeah.
Brick says, do you guys still give the episode a 9 after all this?
This is why I gave the episode a 9.
I still
this
think
is
this is a
why.
great episode. I'm not gonna get too hung up on this part of this being like a huge, like, this doesn't ruin anything for me.
No,
It's just a
I
weird
agree.
moment. It's just a weird moment between the two characters that I think emotionally was a miss, considering the, like, leading up to this. I don't think it's going to have any effect whatsoever on the implications of the story or the route that they go. It's just in this moment, not going to affect anything. Just a weird choice when it comes to how they handled it. That's what
That's
what I'll
exactly
say about
how
that.
I feel about it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. That's why I say I don't really have a problem with it when it comes to the grand scheme of the show, but it was just a miss emotionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remember too, they are now calling that saber Sabine's lightsaber. So there's who knows?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he rejects the
So-
whole. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just to say that reminds me of something I wanted to mention. So apparently there's this thing floating around online that says that Ezra's chainmail, all the links are Night Trooper dog tags, essentially. Like, that he's basically has killed all these Night Troopers who've been coming after him and attaching them on
That
chainmail.
is sick.
Damn.
So, like,
would
that's,
be
if you
dope.
look at, like, you can see it better. Like, this doesn't show it great, but there's a better photo, like the stock photo that Star Wars puts up for the show.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's floating around out there, that this is like, they do, if you look at them, they look like dog tags. So, like, maybe what's been happening is Thrawn's been sending this army and his numbers have been dwindling because Ezra's been just, like, destroying
Clapping
them all.
Yeah.
Which then brings me to the next point of what type of action are we going to see Ezra in the coming episode or two? Like, Ezra's probably going to be powerful, is
Yeah.
my guess.
He's going to be powerful.
yeah.
And I think he's going to go back to like his Jedi form. The only reason
Yeah.
I say that is because of toy reveals. Because that new Hasbro figure has him in sort of his Rebels look.
Yep. The
You
outfit.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be designed from the show, not Rebels.
Yeah.
So
And my question is, how is he going to get that? If that's what he ends up wearing, and that's why I say they don't count out the ghost coming back and all the crew getting together before the end of the show, because I can see that happening. There's no way. I guess this will be my prediction. I don't see them ending this season without all of them in the ghost at one time. You know what I mean?
Zeb's
I feel
gotta
like
come.
they have
Zeb
to
has
do
to
that.
come.
I feel like they have to do that at some point in this season. And Zeb. Like, I feel like we.
I
are
don't know
gonna
if we're
get-
getting Zeb. That's
I think
why I was
I think
making
we're gonna
that
get.
face.
I think we might. Maybe not. Maybe not. I wouldn't care if we didn't get him in this season, but at some point, I feel like you got to try to get him in there. Carson Tava knows him. Got to get Zeb. Like,
Yeah.
maybe like Hera will go back, and we're probably gonna see something with Hera. Maybe they introduce Zeb again, but we're gonna see them all together, and maybe that's when, like, oh, here, Ezra, this is like what you should be wearing. Or like he has like he's gonna put on his old outfit and like, okay, now I'm gonna wear back to like what I was.
Zeb has to. The more you talk, the more you
Got
say,
to.
like, he's got
you gotta
to.
bring him. You can't. You don't bring him back into live action and put him with Carson Tava unintentionally.
Right.
Like, Carson's a big part of this show, and like that whole, like, you know, part of the New Republic is part of this show. So like I see Zeb making a return.
I hope
Yeah.
so. I wanted Zeb hot toys.
But we only got we only got 2 episodes left. Also, this Ezra, like, I guess depending on what they do, this would make a cool figure. I think this is a really unique character design, like really unique clothing. I think this would make a really cool
For
figure
sure.
as well. But Yeah. Any predictions? You guys got any thoughts? I know, well, we're kind of like, we're a little past the 2-hour mark. Any other, I don't really know towards the end
this
here.
is the scene here where the Night Sisters say a Jedi is coming. Right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, they got like a premonition or
And he's like,
however
this is
they phrase
unpleasant.
it.
This is unpleasant news, or whatever Thrawn says. And he's
Yeah.
like, Ahsoka's
I love
on
his
our-
character.
Yeah, I thought
It's-
Ahsoka was dead, and she's like, Balin swore it. Well, Balin's a Jedi,
Yeah.
So then it's like,
And it builds
Very-
on character for Thrawn for those who don't know him. When he's like, I want to know everything about her. Who her
yeah.
master was. What what I mean? Like
That's the
yeah.
piece that's going to be
Oh,
interesting
and
because
then-
wasn't it
yeah.
Anakin that originally made contact with him? Right? I don't know if that is what's canon or what not, but the way that Thrawn is originally introduced to the Emperor.
Was through Anakin? I'm pretty sure that's in the
meeting
books.
either meeting Anakin or Vader.
he's
or
dealt
something
with
like
Anakin
that.
in the past.
But I know he knows Anakin. Yeah,
He
so I'm
knows Anakin, and
interested-
he also knows, like, when he starts interacting with Vader in the books. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Thrawn senses that Vader's Anakin.
Yeah.
in the canon books, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm more just interested that when we hear that on, like, I want to know who her master is, etc. We get some more Anakin talk next episode, possibly.
Also, the most Thrawn line probably in this was when he's like, when you see the space whales fire on them with prejudice. I was
so
like,
good.
that is so badass.
Well, that's why
Like,
I
he
was
just
texting you,
does,
Steve,
like,
and I was like,
this
"Are
is
we gonna
scary.
see like exploded whale chunks?
Yeah, I
with,
hope
like,
not.
whales on beaches and
Yeah.
shit. Like,
that's
Rita
why
is gonna have a
Florida
field
used to
day
do
with
that,
this next
yeah.
episode.
Right.
That's why I say, like, if the Purgle, like, end up getting killed and there's not a way back, what's the way back? The ghost. And how is the ghost
Or-
gonna get through,
The world between worlds.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
yeah, maybe.
Or
Yeah, they could do that, but then, like, I feel like they just need to be careful with how they flesh that out, because the world between worlds isn't a thing where you're you got to be careful when it gets to, like, influencing events and traveling in time, and, like, so if they flesh it out right, I don't want this to be a situation where you can just, like, time travel.
It solves
'Cause
problems too easily.
Yeah, because solves problems too easily. These are times travel. Because, like, there's a really good, like, there's a clip of Dave Filoni explaining the world between worlds where, like, gives you a really good idea of how it's not like you can just do whatever you want and go wherever you want, because the end result of that is catastrophic to basically, like, whatever comes next. So it's, like, kind of off limits to just time travel through world between worlds, because it's more of, like, he talks about it being this, like place of knowledge, and, like, the more you know, the more connected to the Force you are, the more knowledge you have within it. It's really interesting. I recommend you go check that out. But if they went through World Between Worlds, also, do you guys think we see that this season again? Do you think we see World Between Worlds again this season?
I hope
That's
so.
my hunch.
I hope so, but I don't
I
know.
hope so too.
I'm not-
I hope so.
yeah.
I hope we do. We're definitely going to see it again at some point.
I want more Anakin, so
Yeah, I know, everybody. Of course. Any other thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up?
I guess this last final scene kind of made me want to know again, just kind of know more about how did Thrawn and the Night Sisters kind of get hooked up here, right?
Yeah.
Like, he is relying a lot on their help. Like, we saw pictures of the ship in the beginning that has gold in it too. So, like, they've helped him repair the ship. They've given him an army. What exactly are they asking for in return, right? Like,
Yeah.
these are some of the questions that I have, which is good, right? I think
Yeah, like, were they here? Were they on Pridia?
Mhm.
Because we know that that's now they're talking about, like, that's where they're from and stuff like that. Like, were they already here and then Thrawn, like, allied with them? And yeah,
Mhm.
they need his
Yeah.
help to transport these bodies maybe to Dathomir, or we're assuming bodies in those caskets. So definitely a mutual interest there, but what is it between each
Yeah.
one of them? I don't know.
I want to see some Night Sister magic, like with them
My-
actually fighting.
My
Yeah, some
question
green.
is,
Yeah.
my question when it comes to Thrawn specifically, just because there's been so many theories about the troopers, is it possible that Thrawn passed away too, and the Night Sister brought him back?
Could be. That's what's so fun about this. There's so many
Night
questions.
Sisters open up a
Yeah.
lot of opportunities for,
honestly, it could.
for the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Let me see if there's a
I hadn't
couple
thought about
chats here. TK Mad Shop says, I'm excited to recreate some of the lightsaber battles in stop motion too. That'd be cool.
That'd be dope.
Yeah, Thrawn is a great,
Yes.
Thrawn is a
Very
great
cool.
villain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully they, I really hope they obviously keep doing Thrawn justice, and I think they will. I really do think.
Kills me. We only have 2 more episodes,
I
and
know.
with the strike and everything, it's like, oh man, how long are we gonna have to wait?
I know. Yeah. Any other thoughts, you guys? That's a lot.
They should
That's a lot.
film Thrawn from this angle all the time.
Yes.
Just keep it chest and
Uh-huh.
above. He can throw punches like that. You can film him right here for throwing punches.
Bro, Bo-Katan
Put
was
people in headlocks.
Katie Sackhoff was pregnant in Mandalorian season 3, and you never knew it. They can
Yeah.
do this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they just said like we're not going to make him do crazy stuff, so we don't care. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah,
and
maybe.
that's why I think I forget who said it in the chat
Put him in the
earlier. But they're
outfit.
like, "Oh, Thrawn kills Balin." I'm like,
With a blaster.
"Really though?" like,
Yeah. Yeah.
will he though?
Um,
That's why I think it's more of like an Ahsoka Balin type of thing rather
Yeah.
than a
Yeah.
Thrawn Balin type of thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
They're
You guys
the
think-
rematch, so that would make sense.
Do you guys think anything deeper will be revealed about Enoch, or do you think he's just kind of another Marok kind of character where he looks cool, but there's not much else behind it?
Yeah, I think that's probably where it is. That's classic Star Wars right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It would be cool to see him be something, but knowing what we do, them develop. I mean, unless he lives through this season and then maybe doing something, but knowing what we do, I just don't see them fleshing out his character at the moment.
I would like the figure though. I'll tell you that.
I would
much.
too.
I'm
That'd be
sure.
an awesome trooper.
I'm sure
More
all
so
of you
than-
guys would.
Marok at this point, you know.
Yes. I just want to read this comment from TK Mad Shop. Great episode, my peeps. Thank you for being so welcoming into the community. Dude, you are welcome, man. Thank you. I come from a very toxic group of Star Wars fans in the 501st. So this is nice to see how awesome 1/6 scale community
Hey,
is.
there you go.
The
Yeah.
community is what you make
Welcome.
it, honestly. So yeah, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Brick says, end of the season, he walks on the ghost and says, okay, what did I miss? I think he's talking.
Oh,
he's
Zeb.
actually
He's
talking
talking
about
about
Zeb.
Zeb. Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
funny.
it would be.
Um,
It's just if we haven't seen him yet, it's like, are we going to see him at all? You can tell they're spending a lot of money on some of the budget with the cinematography.
Oh, yeah.
effects. Like maybe after Thrawn and after Anakin and some of the de-aging, it's just not gonna.
We will
like,
see Zeb again.
use
They
that.
didn't just
I don't know.
they didn't just bring him back in that one like in Mando. They didn't just bring him back for no reason, you know.
I can see him popping in the finale.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know,
Yeah.
some kind of space battle out there, and then the ghost is in trouble, and then Zeb comes in on his own personal X-wing there, or something like that.
With Carson
Which,
Tava, him and
Yeah.
yep.
all those
something popping
reinforcements
off.
they weren't allowed to send. They all said, "Screw it,
Yeah.
we're all coming in." You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be next week. After next week's episode, it's going to be very interesting, like speculating about the finale, because like this could be a situation where like Thrawn is back, and then the season ends, and like Thrawn kind of wins going into the next. I'm gonna guess they're gonna do another season, but like maybe they're gonna let Thrawn like have the leg up going into like after the finale's over, and it's like they might like to have some sense of like they're gonna be in trouble because there's like
Yeah.
a new big bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
you
we'll see.
almost have to wrap this season up in a loss, right? Because they're building
Yeah.
up to a film, and it's like
Yeah, and I would be totally cool with that. I would
Yeah.
rather it honestly almost be that because it seems like all these limited series, if there's not a second season, they always end well. You know, like the ending is always end well. Like this is going to be a continuation of something. So hopefully they keep it rolling.
Can't wait for the next one. I definitely feel like there's gonna be a major plot twist in this
Yeah.
next episode.
Something crazy. Yeah, I agree. I think something crazy might happen potentially in the next episode.
You guys think we make it back to the Star Wars galaxy in the next episode? I think we kind of have to, right?
I think that'd be nice. And
You
it's
gotta
also
be
crazy
there for
because like
episode
in the
8.
trailer, it shows Thrawn walking on to like their ship, like the
Yes.
or the ring, like like the in that big open room. So I would think like that's probably going to be the next episode. And they're loading up and stuff. I don't see them spending a whole nother episode on, on that point.
No.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna get some, hopefully, some wrapping up of some things next episode, and like see where Balin and Shin are gonna go from there, because there's probably gonna be a fight with them, and like it seems like it's trending in the direction, Cage, like you said after you said like Balin and Shin are trying to find Sabine. They're probably gonna cross paths with Sabine and Ezra, and like. What if that's just? It makes me sad. It's sad.
Yeah,
What if that's
it could
just
be
the
it.
end of Balin and Shin?
Oh man, like they
Like,
don't
they're
make it
just
off the
done.
planet.
I hope
Oh,
not.
Bummer.
I hope not. But we'll
Yeah.
see. we'll see. Great episode, you guys. That was a blast. That was there was some deep stuff in this episode. So yeah, I
So
appreciate all your
much.
thoughts. And with that being said, I want to just let you guys do a quick channel plug. Cage, I know you don't have a channel. Is there anything you want to say to close it out here?
My plug would be to go check out everybody else's channel here. So
thank
go
you.
check out D'Lo. Mike, I think you're starting, or you have been doing some stuff, right?
No, I've just been chatting. I've been,
Okay.
I'm too lazy to
Yeah,
do
it's
the whole
prominent
YouTube
chatting
thing. I just
goes
come
on
on and
sometimes.
chat.
Mike, you want to do
Sure.
your plug for the what you
please.
typically do?
Yeah. So on Mondays, 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. Eastern, I'm on the Hope Show with Shane on One Six Figure Focus, which is a great channel, great show. And then on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m., I'm on Hot Toys Hotline with Connor. So we have fun over there too. And then I get to wrap up the week with you guys on Friday. So that's always fun.
You're a busy man
you.
in the live stream.
Hard working man there. Jeez.
Yeah.
So how do I do it? I don't know.
No YouTube aspirations, yet you're everywhere, Mike.
Just likes talking
It's a
figures
great
and likes
community,
talking-
like TK said. So I'm honored and happy to be on.
Appreciate
these
you
with
coming
guys.
on. Been on every week. I appreciate it, man. D'Lo, you got some stuff coming up. Tell the people.
Oh gosh, yeah, you and all those influential pack guys out there, they keep pushing me into this YouTube realm. I keep resisting, but you guys are getting stronger. But yeah, I'm wrapping up the tour. It looks great. I'm just I'm waiting for some logos. I'm gonna make it look official. I may not be a YouTuber full timer, but I don't want to look like an amateur, so I'm putting in some extra effort here to make it look presentable for you lovely folks. And yeah, I got some ideas. I have some interesting concepts that I'm kind of playing with there, and I'm starting to figure out how to create my own videos and all that good stuff like that there. So it's turning out pretty well. But I think what I want to do is I'm gonna finally get the tour out. I think you guys are gonna be happy with it. And then I think I'm just gonna lock myself in my room here for a little bit for like a day or two and just like get a ton of videos together and start editing them all up and just start releasing stuff here. Just kind of get it out the way, kind of tipping my toes into this here and just dive in. And I'm just going to do it. And if you guys like it, great. If you guys support it, that'd be awesome. But I'm just going to do it and say, what the heck, let's give it a go.
Well, we're gonna support
Dude,
it.
we're gonna love it, dude.
I'm excited.
I'm excited to see
the
that.
change.
Appreciate it.
that
Yeah,
you've,
for sure.
I want to do something different because everybody has really good stuff and people have like their own like good things that they do in the 1/6 community. I want to be unique. I want to bring something fresh. I don't want to, repurpose it and say it's new. I want to actually find something new to actually offer. So I don't want to say anything yet because I don't want somebody to say that's a really good idea and do it first. So, but either way, I'm working on it. I think it's good. I think people are gonna like it. I just gotta find the time. I'm such a busy guy. I work too much to do this as much as everybody else does. So, but I'm gonna give it 110%. I'm gonna try to put all that out there and show you guys and see what your feedback is.
I'll say this, dude. People tune in for the person and the personality. Don't worry too much about being different because this is gonna sound corny. You are different. Like people enjoy listening to you and watching you. So just bring yourself to the videos, and I think that's really all you have to concentrate on. Really.
D'Lo, the God.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it, man.
The experience, right? I mean, you've been in the game for a while, so
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
it is
people-
an experience.
You got some knowledge
Good experience. That's debatable. I don't know.
Guys, okay,
Well,
that's
spent
enough.
way too much
Stop,
money.
Stop hyping up D'Lo.
Oh, okay.
off
Yeah,
right
Steve, I guess the jabroni. What do you got going on in your channel?
Jabroni. I'm just kidding. D'Lo, thanks so much for coming on the show for the first time, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you. It was really nice hearing your perspective, and yeah, I liked. You had a lot of great things to say tonight, so
Thank you.
yeah, appreciate you being on. TK says D'Lo has a fire set up.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, he says he's gonna check out you and Mike as well. Can't believe I got to enjoy this while working, dude. That's always a bonus. For me, check me out on Wolfpack Wednesdays now. Yes, so nice. We'll have a lot to talk about.
So
on Wednesday.
fucking giddy, dude.
We'll
So
have a-
fucking giddy about
We'll have a
it.
lot to talk about on Wednesday. That's gonna be a fun episode.
Yes.
It's gonna be a lot of stuff. So that's over on the Jedi Knights watch his YouTube channel, and then yeah, we'll be back next Friday. I'm just looking for somebody to potentially do a collector tour episode. It's been kind of a couple week hiatus. I haven't done one in a while because I've just been busy and trying to plan some other stuff. Yeah, so you guys can check me out there. I want to give a quick plug. If you guys didn't see, I did a channel announcement a while back about a partnership that I have with Underground Figures. I know D'Lo, you're familiar with them. You've ordered some stuff from them.
Great guys. Great
yeah,
guy.
Yeah, and then I know you've had a good experience. And then Mike,
Dude,
if you're cool with me talking about, I know you've had a good experience. It seems like kind of
please,
with
yeah. They're awesome. Ray is incredible. I have
Yeah, so
nothing but
Ray's
great
the
things.
owner. Check out Underground Figures, you guys. You can let them know I sent you. Great company to work with. I've ordered a lot of stuff from them, and I've been really happy, and a good resource for people to get figures from in the community. They're competitive pricing. Everything's double boxed, free of charge, which is really nice. So check them out. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you do. So I just want to give them a quick plug there. Chat,
I just got a
thank you.
bark speeder from them, and it was double
Yeah,
boxed, and like and it arrived overnight to New Jersey from Rhode Island.
Look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And like the bark speeder box is huge. Like when I got both of mine, they came in like the shipper box that those shippers came in.
Oh wow.
So like it was two together in the shipper box for the bark speeders.
that's
So
they're
it's
awesome.
I'm like, you do like this to double box that. I feel like it's kind of crazy because they're huge pieces already. But TK asks, what's the site again? Yeah, undergroundfigures.net. Yeah, check them out. You can let me know if you have any questions. Everybody in chat, if you're still here, thank you for tuning in. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much. I know we ran a little bit late tonight, but I enjoyed talking with you guys. Cage, thanks for coming on for your first YouTube live
Shout out
stream.
to Cage, man.
Yeah,
Killed
dude.
it.
Killing it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
dudes.
Dude, you're a
Appreciate it,
natural,
bro.
man. You're a natural. You're welcome back
Thank you.
anytime, obviously.
All right, I'll be on next week then. I'll see y'all
Just,
then.
as long as you hype me up a little bit more than you hyped up D'Lo on my own channel. But it's okay.
No, like like I told you, if you had D'Lo on,
I got D'Lo on, Cage is on.
I'll be there.
I'll be there. So
Yeah, no, dude. But in all seriousness, I appreciate you coming on, and especially like I talked to you earlier today about it, and it was awesome having you on.
yeah,
And
thank you. Appreciate it.
glad we got to chat in this form. So with that being said, you guys, everybody in chat, thanks again so much. We will catch you all on the next one. Peace.